Reveille, reveille.
Look at us now, tip to
Ooh, Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
to us, doing what we love. It's time to bang. Oh, yeah, Monday, folks. Can never, ever trust that day, but you can trust us. Morning Kombat back in your absolute face hole. January 27th, 2025. And boy, do we have a fun episode recapping a very eclectic weekend in combat sports while looking ahead to two major offerings for the weekend to come. Hey, my name is Brian Campbell, that BBC with that BDE. You better believe it. Next to me is a man from Washington, D.C., a man who's been through a lot. So we say on this day, Luke Thomas, R.I.P. Barbas, pour one out for the big man. R.I.P. Commanders on a fantastic, incredible season. Cato Kalin, R.I.P. Oh.
Yeah, I think he's still kicking.
Oh, he's still with us? Okay.
Yeah.
Luke, welcome. Heavy heart, but
Thanks.
the MK community has your back.
Yeah, they've been very sweet. You're right about the Commanders. Hey, listen, not the game that I wanted it to be, but honestly, and I said this to everyone who's listened, I have no complaints about the season even a little bit. It went far better than I could have ever imagined. It had to be hard to be a Giants fan watching Saquon Barkley.
I live around Giants fans, and I've heard this from multiple people. They were just happy he could get possibly a ring.
I don't believe that. I think they're bitter as hell that they let him go, but whatever. But yeah, Barbas died on Saturday. He succumbed to a long-standing illness. Yeah.
Got the dog in him.
That was tough, bro. That was tough. I put out a video this morning sitting in my car talking about it. I'll just quickly tell you if I have a lighthearted, semi lighthearted take about it. When things turned bad, they went bad real fast.
Yep.
We took him to the ER, and they basically recommended that we euthanize him there, and we did, and that was real hard. But I felt kind of bad because there was a guy behind us in this vet clinic, a very nice vet clinic, by the way. It's the one on 9th Street and H in Northeast in D.C. And this dude had a Chihuahua there.
Yes.
Who just had like a paw issue. Like I'm not even bullshitting. It was bleeding a little bit, but I think they just had to pull the nail on the Chihuahua. Yeah. Painful, but ultimately very small injury. And I had called ahead to let them know we were coming and this was a potential end of life scenario because Barbas was doing so bad. And then we get there, and he's sitting right here. We get on the table. They do a sonogram to see if his chest is full of fluid, which it was. The medicine was no longer working, and they were like, this is basically the end. And so we gave them permission, and, you know, my wife is in hysterics. She's crying. They're giving him oxygen, and then they do the whole thing. And this motherfucker waiting with his dog watched the whole thing. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, and he kind of did. He kind of did, man. That was traumatizing as shit for this guy.
Yeah. Shout out to that guy.
So I feel kind of bad, but I will say this: I got a million DMs, I got a million messages. Thanks to everyone. My wife is doing real bad, but death is a part of life.
It is. It's the full circle. What a life you gave that young little rascal there. R.I.P. And as we mentioned, Daniel Snyder not happy about the joy that's been going on.
Small victories. He's miserable.
He may have celebrated that loss, though, like he was the female owner of the Cleveland Indians in Major League. You know what I mean?
Oh, who was? Oh, yeah, Major League. Yeah, I was gonna say who was the owner of the Reds who was super racist?
Marge Schott.
Marge Schott.
Yes,
Yeah. She was.
You always remember the racists.
Well, dude, she was a battle axe, was she not?
She was
crazy. So.
As mentioned, we have a fantastic show. I would like you, though, to check out our socials right there. You can like the show. It would help us if you did. If you subscribe as well. If you want to be a regular viewer, just hit the subscribe button. We're here for you every Monday and Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. And as you can see there, you can follow our solo YouTube channels, which complement the work we do here. And a brief mention of the third member of our team. You know him on the Main Card Minute podcast. They call him Bong Island Luke. Nosita, sir, I heard you had a record weekend when it comes to the podcast clicks. Well done.
Yeah, had a great weekend. Over 100 concurrent. First time I ever did that. You know, big deal, Luke. I know, you know. How many times you done that? Luke?
Hey, small victories, bro.
Yeah,
Small
exactly.
victories.
And you didn't show your pipe yet. So
I didn't
that's
show my
great.
pipe. We watched the GFL draft, the blunder that was the GFL draft.
They showed their pipe a lot on there, more or less.
Long Island Luke, the only guy who came into the office today and literally said that he thought the GFL draft was great.
I didn't say great.
I mean, you had pretty
He was
nice
like, except for
things to
that
say about
slip
it.
up with showing that it wasn't actually a draft. He's like, outside of that, kind of excited about it.
Yeah,
That's what I
he's
said.
like, outside of the fraud and shit fighters, this was a home run.
I stand by that.
There we go. We'll get into that and then some on this show, of course. What else we got going on here, Luke? Though to email the show, you can go to morningcombat@gmail.com this Friday. DMs, or no, what do we do? Fan subs, dead wrong. You know the drill. We'll be back with that with a bang. Big weekend, though, Luke. We got PBC on Prime pay-per-view.
Great weekend,
Benavidez
actually.
versus Morrell. We've got
Not the biggest fights, but very good fights.
UFC Saudi.
MMA
yes.
and boxing.
Riyadh will be on fire there. Adesanya back this weekend. We will also get into that. Anything else you want to say publicly, Luke? Anything you want to disclose? Health updates? Body counts? Whatever you want to share with people.
This weekend sucked in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's I'll drink to that. All right.
I mean, it is what it is. What can I say, dude? Life. Yeah. Life takes you into funny and difficult directions.
Would you be upset, offended if I broke out into Creed's "What's This Life For"?
A little bit. I'm meant to ask you, like, you've only ever put down one pet before?
No. I've done.
Did you save like the paw print or the nose print or anything?
We have the of our last two cats that perished. We have the ashes in a box with a picture of them on the outside.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
It's
Okay,
in the
that's all
hallway.
right.
You know.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, we lost.
We did the clay paw print for Barbas and then the ink nose print.
I like that. The problem was we lost those two in 2 days apart.
Oh.
An 18-year-old and like a 1-year-old. So that was, that hit hard. I know you lost a bunch in the last few years.
Three pets in 4 years, bro. I had enough.
Yeah.
I'm
I
done.
was texting our boy Average Joe about it, who he's got heart, he's got love for those animals. He knows that fight. So shout out to everybody dealing with that as well. But hey, let's get fired up. Great show that will begin right about now. Topic number one from the weekend. Hey, it went down in Dubai. There was a road to get there, and PFL arrived to kick off 2025 with what? Well, first of all, an instant classic in the main event for the lightweight title, and second of all, opening the new year with the bang. Hey, PFL, this is what the hell we are talking about. Usman Nurmagomedov, Paul Hughes. It may have been the final Bellator title fight in the history of using the name Bellator for PFL, but it also may have been one of the best fights we've ever seen in promotional history. So, Luke, I'll use that as a setup to ask you this. With the outstanding ebbs and flows in this fight, with the ton of heart showed by both in a fight which ultimately Nurmagomedov scored a majority decision win, and the massive interest in the rematch that is firing across socials, was Nurmagomedov versus Hughes, in fact, the best fight in PFL history? And how important was it, given the storyline narratives of a make-or-break year for PFL, to come out with this fight and hit an absolute home run in a loaded arena with a real atmosphere there on Saturday afternoon?
Can I challenge the premise of the question
I would
just
love
a little
it.
bit?
I would love it.
Okay, so let me meet you halfway. I want to answer the question, but I do want to talk about the atmosphere because it is relevant. It's especially relevant when we talk about what the rematch is going to look like. But for this one, it was in Dubai. I think we could probably all agree that Dubai wasn't necessarily the best place to put it. However, what I'm going to say is...
In theory, but did you see the results?
Yes, what I'm going to say is it also was by far not the worst.
Yes.
Because the Irish turned out that they traveled for Paul Hughes, and they make themselves known. And it was certainly much better than having it in Saudi Arabia, where they can't even fill an arena. This one looked to be, for the most part, pretty full. That Coca-Cola arena in Dubai, I actually feel like that was not a bad place to put it, but I don't know how much that actually does for building any part of a North American business. And in that sense, there might be some problems with it. But that aside, this was the best fight in PFL history.
Say it.
This was the best fight in PFL history, and for two basic reasons, or two ways you at least can examine that. I can show you, especially if we go to the World Series of Fighting, I can show you crazier fights that this organization in either iteration.
Justin Gaethje involved in these?
Justin Gaethje, Luis Palomino 1 and 2 are
Yes.
crazier than this.
Yes.
And then honestly, the one that they had, I have my notes. the one in NFL, what am I saying? The one at PFL Europe that they put this year, Lewis McGrillen and Dean Garrett. This was the one that had 14 knockdowns in like 12 minutes or so, something insane. I can certainly show you more insane ones than what you saw on Saturday. In many respects, BC, it was actually a pretty measured fight. It wasn't crazy.
Well, it wasn't about craziness and theatrics. It was about
heart,
level.
technique,
It was about, yeah.
But this was the best fight in PFL history. In terms of the combination of youth, elite talent, nip and tuck, one person raising their game, changing something, the other person having to answer for it, and winning a round, potentially losing a round. I know the judges' scorecards didn't necessarily reflect it, but then the referee getting involved to kind of clean it up, but also having an effect on how the scoring went. In terms of a marriage of slow burn appeal of a fight, youth, technique, skill, strategy, implementation, drama, this is the best fight the PFL has ever put on by a country mile.
And if this is the end of Bellator, then what a fight to go out with.
And I'm going to say this. It wasn't just that the fight itself was great, although it absolutely was, despite some of the early fouling in both directions, which inevitably forced the hand of referee Mike Beltran. But I got to say this. Again, I don't necessarily think Dubai was the best place to put it. But in terms of the matchmaking, this was excellent matchmaking, giving Paul Hughes a shot against Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov, BC, dismissing him, which we talked about last week, ended up actually making Paul Hughes more competitive because Usman admits after the fight he took him lightly.
Which we called that he may be taking him lightly and that this was going to be a real fight.
That blew up in his face big time. And for the BC, you always know a fight is great when the scoring is to a degree controversial, but the person who lost somehow still won.
Yes.
People either think that they won
this
or
wasn't controversial. It was disputed. Let's be
disputed. Fair. And the loser raising their profile in such a way that to come out of this being like, we've got to see the rematch. We've got to see this one again. The PFL promotionally with this entire thing, especially how the fight ended, BC, they hit a complete home run. We kill them all the time on this show. So when they do well, we got to give them credit.
Puff the bag.
They kicked ass this weekend.
Rare fight where everyone won. Usman won and showed great heart in round 5. It reminded me, by the way, Usman's performance. He won round 5 on 2 or 3 scorecards, and we'll get into the scoring in a second. But it reminded me of the first Douglas Lima-Roy McDonald fight in L.A., that 5-round thriller, split decision where Rory came out in round 5 and just said, no matter what it takes, I'm going to win this round to show you that I'm the champion. Obviously, Paul Hughes wins because you can make a great argument for him to have won the fight. The rounds were that close, and I know a lot of people think he got screwed, but we'll get into that. PFL wins monstrously. Why? Most importantly, because, hey, PFL, these are the 2 guys you need to build the entire promotion around. Like, let's wake up. And Luke, I'm going to push you back. I don't have any problem in the end with Dubai as the spot. Why? Because people showed up, and that was a real atmosphere. And it wasn't just on fight night. It was the face-offs they did in public outside. Like, there was buzz. There was anticipation. Maybe it helped you had Habib involved, and you loosely had Conor involved, and there was the Irish versus MMA narrative coming in. But none of that matters once the fight starts.
Ireland versus Dagestan.
Dagestan. Then they all hit a home run. So, hey, PFL, like, I almost want to say it, like, scrap the tournaments and do exactly this. Pick a champion in every division. I'll be honest, this should be Nurmagomedov now as the PFL lightweight champion. Or if you're dead to rights to the tournament format, then do it one more time this year and have a tournament in every division to unveil the real champion. Let a new era start that way. And let's put Nurmagomedov, Hughes, AJ McKee in this lightweight tournament. You could do that. But no matter what you do here, make the fights matter by everything building toward a title shot. Not 4 different types of belts. We got super fight belts. We got regular season belts. We got this. No, none of that. This is the type of thing. These are the assets you have. Usman, Paul Hughes, Dakota Ditcheva, Patchy Mix. We can go on and on. These are the type of guys that should be what people are tuning in for, not for your scoring structure or your smart cage, for this. So I just wanted to say that. Let's get into the scoring, though. As it went down, 47-47 even, and the other 2 cards were 48-46 in favor of Nurmagomedov, which with the point deduction in round 3, that means 4 rounds to 1. Mm-hmm. The judges agreed on round 1, where all 3 gave them to Nurmagomedov, and the judges agreed on round 3, where all 3 gave it 9-9 because of the point deduction, which means they scored it for Nurmagomedov. In real time, Luke, I scored it a draw, 47-47, which was 3 rounds to 2 for Nurmagomedov. I did feel in that moment when I saw the outrage from people, when I saw, Paul Hughes in the interview say, I'm gutted. I thought I won that. And he made a strong case. I mean, he won the story of the night, right? Like he won the moral victory, if there is one, no doubt. But upon replay, I did turn my scoring in rounds 3 and 4, the opposite of how I originally had it. But my scoring the second time, 4 rounds to 1 Nurmagomedov. So
how did you what round the second time did you give to Hughes?
So let's go through it. Look, everyone believes Nurmagomedov won round 1 from distance. He kind of outclassed him in a way. It was a slow start.
Hughes just didn't do enough.
Yes.
Didn't do
round
enough.
2, I thought Hughes really made it a point to make that fight physical. He was stuffing takedowns, which led to action in the clinch, which was favoring him. So I gave him round 2, and I think 2 or 3 judges did.
No, one judge did.
One judge did, excuse me. Okay, round 3, this was the round in which the point deduction happened for the 2 low blows from Nurmagomedov. Like in round 4, where we had a big break in the action with the headbutts, I think Nurmagomedov benefited both times, even though he had to absorb that headbutt in round 4. Both times he came out better from the break and rallied in the second half of the rounds and used takedowns, used control and pressure. So round 3 was really close. The first time I scored it for Hughes. Second time I scored it for Nurmagomedov, but I do acknowledge that's probably the closest round that could go either.
Okay.
Round 4 was, round 3, I scored at 10-8 originally for Hughes. Second time is 9-9.
Okay.
And then you go to round 4. In real time, I scored it for Hughes. I'm sorry, I scored it for Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I was like on the fence after rewatching that round. I still feel like you can lean Usman in there and go 4 rounds to 1 if you want to.
Okay.
It really was that close. I really thought the pressure he put on in the second half after the break for the headbutt, where he took him down, where he was in the clinch doing the knees to the back of the thigh, I really thought that overvalued the 1 or 2 punches that Hughes landed. And then round 5, even though one judge did give it to Hughes and he did rally in the closing seconds for some shots, I really feel like Nurmagomedov closed that down with his grappling and controlled the situations there. So I think,
see it a little different. Can I tell you my score?
Yeah, please.
So again, I have gone back and watched clips of it, but I haven't watched the fight. I mean, I had to go to the vet right after the fight was over, literally. So I have only watched clips back. When I scored it in real time the first time, and I want to get Long Island Luke's score here if we can as well. In real time, round 1 to Nurmagomedov, no problem. Round 2, I also gave to Nurmagomedov just because I thought he was doing a little bit more. I grant that one's close. 3, in real time, I gave to Hughes. In real time.
Yep.
With the point deduction, becomes 10-8. 4, I also grant is close, but I gave that to Nurmagomedov. I thought in the end he did do enough with the ground and pound on the top control position to kind of make that count. In round 5, I also recognized that one is close. I leaned Hughes on that one because I thought he did the more damaging work, but I recognize some of this stuff is harder to score.
Sure.
Long Island Luke, how did you score it?
I had it 5-0 Usman, so with the point deduction, 49-45.
Damn, you just hate the Irish, huh?
No, I didn't. In fact, I did take that Paul Hughes spread bet that I recommended everyone take, plus 9.5, and that covered easily.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But
I got texts from different people saying 4-1 Hughes, 4-1 Nurmagomedov. So I can acknowledge that.
I could see that.
And look, the thing about Hughes is he overachieved what the expectations were coming in with betting odds, with everything. He stuffed the takedowns early.
Well, can we just say
But-
he actually only matched exactly what we said he was going to do. On this show, we told everyone
Yes.
he was fucking awesome.
He came
and
as close as you could to beating him. But I think even I, in scoring in real time, were overscoring the fact that he was overachieving. When I rewatch it, I think the breaks in round 3 and 4 are really the key. Nurmagomedov came off of both of those breaks each time it happened in the middle of the round and was fresh. And it was times where you thought he might have been fading, and he used that break. He came back fresh, and he took him down. That shows the judges something, that you're taking control of it. I know his ground and pound wasn't spectacular in the top position, and Hughes was able to reverse out ultimately, but I really think it's controlling the fight. You know what I'm saying? And you have to put that up against, did Hughes do enough offensively to take those rounds from him? I just don't think he did. So I don't think it's a robbery. But if you had it 3-2 Hughes, I don't think you're crazy. It was that close. 3 and 4, I think, are those rounds that you can just flip either way.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I really believe this, and I'll be curious to see if you agree and if Long Island Luke agrees as well, which is when the fight was over, I felt like Nurmagomedov deserved to be the rightful winner, recognizing it was close and recognizing judging can go a few directions. But my general sense was that a little bit more was done by Nurmagomedov, especially in those early rounds when he's just leg kicking. And they weren't doing a ton, but Hughes couldn't get an offensive rhythm going. He just didn't get enough going until a little bit later.
Yeah.
But this is my point. I think Hughes is going to go back and look at that footage and say to himself, why didn't I get started a little bit earlier?
He kind of punted round one away.
He punted round one away completely, and I know he was worried about the takedown. A round of applause for the takedown defense of Paul Hughes. I know they credited Usman with 4, but really, it was one good takedown. It was that takedown around 4th. The other ones, dude, I grant they were control positions.
Sure.
And I grant that in certain cases with some of those like knees to the thigh, some of them were valuable. But pure takedowns, he got one. He got one good one. The rest were mat returns or control positions from the outside. Paul Hughes did a phenomenal job. And there's an important...
The body work from Paul Hughes was great.
The two most memorable things for me in this fight were the kicking game of Nurmagomedov, some of the takedowns, but really the kicking game.
And the threat of the high, he would always mix in the threat of the high kick.
Absolutely.
Anytime Hughes was about to put offense together.
Paul Hughes had that backhand up the whole time. But the other part of it was the body work of Paul Hughes. Dude, he had Nurmagomedov like punching over with his shoulders coming forward, leaning down. And I'm like, dude, he's going to go right to the uppercut. He went right to the uppercut.
And every time Nurmagomedov had him in that tie clinch, Hughes would just power through either the body or upstairs with punches.
Destroying the body of Nurmagomedov.
So he succeeded in luring. I mean, so in the first round, he gave up too much distance. In the second round, he came right out, closed that distance. And what it forced Nurmagomedov to do was to constantly go for the clinch, to go for the trip. And that's where that opened up a lot more offense for Hughes. So Hughes gets so much credit here. The defense, Luke, the poise, the cardio, the everything. He's legitimately world-class. Dustin Poirier tweeted out how much he appreciated that. A lot of people were comparing the performance of Hughes in here to the spirit of Dustin in those ways. No doubt he jumps through as legit, elite, world-class, no question. How did, honestly, the UFC not offer him a contract?
They did. They just offered him no money.
Oh, so it was a
contender
series type thing? Yeah. So, Luke, straight up, well, let me first run sound, because the obvious talk should be about this rematch. And would it be promotional malpractice for the PFL not to force away with this much buzz and tension? Because remember, it's 9 weeks before their next show. It's over 2 months. I don't think that's ideal in this setting, but I do think it gives them time to maybe possibly reorder some of the strategy that they have here and realize what they have in this fight. Nurmagomedov, despite showing a ton of respect afterwards for Hughes, despite Habib interrupting, grabbing the mic and shouting out Hughes for his support of Palestine and all that, and there was a lot of Bushido going around, Nurmagomedov is getting called out for not wanting an instant rematch. Listen to his words, and then we'll get your reaction.
It was a great fight for me. I go to the deep ocean, and I know what I can do for the next time. And I literally underestimated this guy. It was a mistake, but whatever, alhamdulillah, no matter what. And of course, I'm human like everyone, like every sportsman. I have some weakness, I have my strong way, like so strong side, and I'm not like someone who like cannot never lose. But in my mind, I'm never gonna lose, inshallah. And in 5 rounds, I was thinking only how to finish him, and like every round, I was follow the goal, finish him, and I think this is biggest my mistake. For other way, I think alhamdulillah, it was a good fight for the fans, first of all, and of course for me too.
He deserves a rematch. Do you think that he did enough?
For rematch?
Yes.
Not. He have to won like couple, 3, 4 like fight in the Bellator, because of he have only 2 fight and they give him title shot. But Paul Hughes, this is like all my respect to these guys, and I think even if he will go to the tournament for 1 million, he have 100% like chance to take this belt. And we can.
So, Luke, what stands out, of course, is the 3 to 4 fights before fighting you again, but he does back it up with, I want him to enter the tournament, go for the money, and try to win a spot back. Do you think that's in some ways pushing him out, avoiding him, or is it saying, look, I'm the champion, I showed you, everybody else get in that tournament and try to become a #1 contender?
Yeah, I mean, he's completely out of his mind. Paul Hughes, in no way, shape, or form. Now, if Paul Hughes wants to go through the tournament, that is something else. If he agrees to go through the tournament, that is something else. Fine.
Do you think PFL should go with the Bellator Grand Prix rules where the champion is in the tournament too and defends it in every stop in the tournament?
I do think so. Now, obviously, it's going to get a little complicated because you have Ramadan coming up pretty quickly. It's not too far from now, so that's going to make things a little bit difficult.
No, they're off for 9 weeks. It's not going to be. Oh, you mean in terms of training?
Training, yeah. I mean, you can train. I have friends who do train during Ramadan. They're Muslim, but they tell me they lose a bunch of weight and it's difficult for them, and it's just tough. It's just tough to do. So, I don't think that's going to make it super easy. But the notion that Paul Hughes lucked his way into this, we told everyone that was absurd ahead of time.
Beat AJ McKee straight up.
He beat AJ McKee straight up. And remember, the big fight to make previously was AJ
No
McKee
doubt.
versus Usman Nurmagomedov, and he put Nurmagomedov through the paces. This is what I mean. It's like, dude, can a tournament, in the case of someone like a Dakota Ditcheva, can it find a way to get one person through it? The main event ends up being in the final tournament fight, the most consequential fight of that tournament bracket, and it launches someone into a new stratosphere of attention. It absolutely can do that, and you must acknowledge it. Dakota Ditcheva is living proof. Many of the guys from the Bjorn Rebney era are also proof of that.
Sure.
But the reality is, for all the faults of the matchmaker model, what you always hear people from the PFL say, and everyone else who does the tournament model who believes in it, is, we're taking the matchmaker and their unfairness out of it. And the reality is, unfairness in the matchmaking process is actually the magic of it, which isn't to say that it's a wrong accusation that sometimes matchmakers are deeply unfair. Hello, Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev, that would have been a goddamn execution in the end. But the reality is, it gives them the license to also make the more interesting permutations that you simply cannot rely on the tournament to give you. This was that. This was that. More of this, please. Look at, if you're the PFL and you're watching this, look at how much enthusiasm you have garnered from this. Look at how well it worked for you. Look at how smart it was to give Paul Hughes a good contract when UFC wasn't. Build on this.
Sign Pico now. Like, put these stars in there and put them against each other. So I want to ask you specifically, they have 9 weeks. They haven't officially, outside of Don Davis on the Mike Heck second town hall, saying that the tournament this year would be for less money, but would be a different structure and it wouldn't be for the championship. They got 9 weeks. How do you take advantage of the buzz from Nurmagomedov Hughes? What do you do next? Do you alter the format? Do you run an instant rematch back on pay-per-view? Like, what do you do next? How does this change what they might want to do?
So this is the problem with their format. This is everything. They got rid of the season format, but they kept a tournament format. And they changed the tournament itself, but they didn't get rid of it. And now they have locked themselves into a series of dates and places that they now have to fit all this stuff in. They don't have the freedom to do what I think actually makes the most amount of sense here. Whether you could get Usman to agree to it is a different consideration. But after this fight was over, BC, Paul Hughes called for the rematch in Belfast, Northern Ireland, which I have to tell you, if you've ever seen Mick Conlon fight there, it's a fucking show.
Yeah.
Like the Irish.
I saw Callum Walsh fight there. It was they threw full cups of beer after he got the knockout.
Dublin or Belfast?
I'm sorry, I was in Dublin. Obviously.
Doesn't matter though.
Yes.
Either way, the Irish, whether it's Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland, they're gonna show up for their own big time. Can you imagine the scenes and having the PFL bring to you an MMA rivalry that's of quality, of style contrast, of substance, and of fanfare? Bring it to life in that way. But BC, if you're locked into your calendar for all the tournaments that you owe, you simply don't have the logistical license to go and make this stuff happen very easily, if at all.
So what should the tournament be? To produce a number one contender?
We have to connect the dots. The problem with the tournament is not just that you don't get all the fights that you want, although sometimes you get ones you didn't expect and it can be better. But if you have this tournament schedule locked in, it promotionally cripples you from being nimble enough to take lightning in a bottle and use it forcefully the next time. If there is any way for them to make use of it, and I'm a little skeptical because they never did the rematch between Baki and Doumbé from their PFL Europe card, which should have been an automatic rematch. I don't know what the fuck happened there. That's the future of PFL if they want to live at all. Be nimble enough to give yourself the chance of building on your wins, not scoring a win and then just pivoting off to something else.
I'd like them to drop the tournament altogether in every division, launch all the divisions with PFL championships, and take your number 1 and number 2 contender in each division, basically your best fighters, and roll them out over this year in main events. And be like, okay, now we're going to fight for the vacant middleweight title. Here's Bellator champion Johnny Eblin against whomever. Now we're going to go over to this division here. Like match your best. And then you can have the ability once things get established to eventually have champion versus champion fights or do some crazy stuff. But this is what people are going to tune into. The fighters, the storylines, the rivalries, and the stakes. They're not going to tune in just because it's PFL branding on there. So
They're not.
There's time to do it.
We should also say something beyond this too, which is I saw some people suggest that after this, they might have liked the fight, that neither Nurmagomedov nor Hughes are top 10 or even at all UFC quality. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Don't waste your breath on there. But do you think that this is a legitimate fight of the year contender like I tweeted and some people laughed at me?
It is still very early. There's plenty of time left in the year. But if we're making lists, they start with this one.
Okay. That's what I needed to hear. Let's see some of that respect backstage with these two fighters embracing, talking to each other. I love these moments.
Yes. Great sport, bro. Great fight. Great atmosphere. Very special.
Yes, to be honest, in Dubai, great atmosphere. I hope next time we will fight same event, but not.
But in
each other.
Belfast. Belfast.
No,
in
Dubai,
Belfast. Come on.
No, in Dubai. Okay. Brother, all the best.
Thank you.
No, in Dubai. In Dubai.
See you, Mike. Brother, see you. Thank you, guys.
Good stuff. We also saw a continued exchange between Khabib and Paul Hughes that made its way to X, and that was Luke. I love this. This turned out to be a bonus, but they basically were like, "F this fake Conor rivalry shit. How about we recognize Paul Hughes?"
I know. You know what I love about this? They called it Ireland versus Dagestan too, which whatever promotional angle, it's fine, but it didn't end up really being that.
Right.
It just ended up being a dogfight that was so competitive that the guys have different backgrounds and that's fun. But it wasn't, it's not like Benavidez Morrell, which is like, Benavidez is like, literally on camera, fuck his dog, fuck his cat, fuck his team, fuck his life. It was none of that. It was a bond and rivalry heightened by extraordinary competition.
I got to ask you, though, if Knuckle Mania from BKFC, they're one of their tentpole events, used to be a pay-per-view, now it's live on DAZN. If that wasn't going down this weekend, you could make the argument it was the biggest night in BKFC history just from like the sellout, 17,000, all that. Would Conor have gone? Because originally, after Paul Hughes beat AJ McKee in the post-fight press conference, he said, I would love to have Conor in my corner. Well, that would have changed the dynamics dramatically, Luke. What would have happened? What would we be saying now?
It tells you about the ugliness that follows.
But aren't you happy in the end that it didn't happen? So now we can savor Paul Hughes the right way?
I'm happy to see Les McGregor no matter what. But I agree that it's fun to get the angry Ireland versus Dagestan angle, but it turns out there is an Ireland-Dagestan angle that's just about competitive rivalry, which that would have spoiled by making it about personal animus that both Khabib and Conor have for one another.
Final question. I saw some, and there's haters on every group, and we've been given a lot of flowers and glazing to the extended Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov coaching and fighter tree there. Some people said now, in back-to-back weeks, from Merab edging out Umar, and now Usman barely getting the decision over Hughes, both good performances, good fights. Are we seeing a blueprint of how you can slow down Dagestan MMA? You have to be elite. You have to have an elite takedown defense, top-level stamina. There's things you need. Mm-hmm. Are we seeing a blueprint so that more fighters will come in more confident and understanding how to slow down these incredible fighters?
I guess what I'm going to say is, how can people watch this fight and think Usman Nurmagomedov fights in any way like Khabib Nurmagomedov? They have vastly different games. And Islam has a different game than all these guys, too. I get that there are clear similarities with their games, and it does seem like brother Umar and brother Usman together, their games actually do mirror each other pretty closely. They're kicking range guys with, good takedown defense, some offensive takedown ability as well.
But not the lights out wrestling of Khabib,
they don't
and
have
sometimes
Islam. Not at all. And again, Khabib had mean ground and pound. These guys don't have that.
Islam's got some of that.
So when they say solving Dagestani MMA, I'm like, well, what does that really mean? What I can say is that the gap that elite Dagestani guys owned over the rest of the sport, that gap is closing. That gap is closing very, very quickly. And it's because they're forcing everyone else to raise their game. And I think what I will say is this. Javier Mendez, who I like very much, and maybe in the training room and based on what he's seen, he has reason to feel this way. We only have what Usman turns in person. But they were saying that like Umar and Usman might be the most talented of the group. What I'm going to say is Umar and Usman, in terms of all the things that an MMA fighter needs to do, they do many of them really well. They're not better than
they're more
Khabib and
well-rounded,
Islam,
but they're not as strong in some of those key, stubborn. I mean, I will say Usman showed it in round 5. I did think he did. He showed the I'm going to tighten the grip.
We're talking
and
about
win
guys
this
who
round.
are awesome. Like we're only talking about awesome fighters here. But like I don't see the evidence that Umar and Usman are clearly ahead of the pack.
But it's early. We'll see. They're 27 and 29
Let's
or
see.
26.
But like these guys, like they're the future, and I'm like they're awesome. They're really good. Khabib, I watched his career. Yeah. He fucked these guys up way worse. I need to see a little more.
Quickly, the co-main event brought former Bellator light heavyweight champion Vadim Nemkov's continued quest at heavyweight. They didn't want to fight Corey Anderson, so they gave him Timothy Johnson, who they said on the broadcast was what? Fresh off of truck driving? Donating goods, maybe? That was a little...
I mean, I appreciate that he was there.
Okay,
you know
well, it went easy for Nemkov.
Timothy Johnson as a person, so, you know.
Nemkov took it slow at first, but once he was able to take the back, establish the ground game, the grappling, the submission, he got the tap. He looked great. He looks good at this weight. But, Luke, maybe an even bigger story than, oh, my God, was he puffed up, and polished, and now he's ready for whenever Francis Ngannou is going to give PFL their annual MMA visit. The bigger story might be that he's also a free agent. He fought out his PFL deal. Is he in a spot to get a stupid offer from UFC, or do they look at that as second rate? We don't care. Yeah, throw him to Francis. Nobody cares.
So I'm going to say this. I think Nemkov gives Poatan problems at 205.
Wow.
I'm not declaring that he beats him, but I think the idea that Poatan just walks through him for a guy like Nemkov, who is athletic, experienced, has good takedowns, good wrestling. By the way, decent submission, decent ground and pound. Like he's not bad about it. The notion that guy can't give Poatan problems seems to me ludicrous. Now, again, I'm not predicting a win, but like that'd be a really interesting title fight.
He looks like he's built his body into a full-time heavyweight.
Yeah, he has. But you know, he weighed in at 240. Like it's not impossible for him to get back down to 205. Forrest Griffin used to walk around 240. Rampage walked around 240. So that's an interesting fight. And even at heavyweight, to the point you raise, he could do wonders at UFC. I really think he could be an interesting addition.
Will he get an offer from UFC, a good offer? One where he has to think
the fact that he's Team Fedor makes it hard for me to imagine that's the likeliest.
I don't think Vadumi's still running that show anymore, right?
No, but I don't know if they want to do business with anything Team Fedor related. You know, Dana White is nothing if not insanely petty.
Yes.
And they have long-standing beef. He's the only one of the probably the biggest fighter that they never signed to UFC. And also, remember, PFL's contracts, they have exclusive negotiating and matching periods to...
That's true.
If they want.
Did you see that Irish headline that from a tabloid that Dana White is only blocking Conor from the Paul brothers boxing match because he hates Jake? You buy that?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's that.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it's true, but like, do I buy it as a reasonable excuse for why the fight's not made? Yes. I buy that.
Somebody had a strong opinion on Nemkov's performance, and that somebody is Corey Anderson.
Okay.
So let's hear from OT.
We watching the PFL fights. That's what you wanted, ain't it, Nemkov? You wanted a truck driver, somebody that was gonna fall over and give you his neck. Put your hands down, screw up. You duck. Put your hands down. You just fall. He said he was training to join the Army Reserves next week. You're celebrating for that? Duck, goose, screw up. You are a lame. Wow.
I gotta
Shout out to the
tell
Beast
you,
from.
he kind of ate with that one, didn't he?
So does this show that Nemkov ducking him or wanting an easier opponent was more about free agency, or was it more?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If he sticks around, then I mean, like the ducking accusations are going to be really hard to ignore. But if it was to fight out his contract and actually go someplace else, then you can sort of understand.
All right. Before we transition to topic 2, I just want to remind everybody that this episode of Morning Combat live and direct coming at you right now, and you can watch it, of course, on the DraftKings Network, is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's go into topic number 2. And it went down in Philly on Saturday night. And hey, listen up. It was a big deal. It was Knucklemania 5 from BKFC. Jeremy Stephens versus Eddie Alvarez in the main event. But anything involving Conor McGregor will inevitably be about Conor McGregor. And so was this, from the standpoint that Conor McGregor stepped in as co-owner and promoter into a face-off across from Jeremy Stephens after he stopped Eddie Alvarez. Maybe even the bigger story than all of that was the 17,762 sold-out seats sold at the Wells Fargo Center, breaking all combat sports records for attendance. So, Luke, here's the key question. From selling out that arena and what I just talked about, to having Conor literally call for the face-off with Jeremy Stephens afterwards, after an exciting night, bunch of ex-UFC names on the card, did BKFC just prove in an odd way that it's actually currently the number 2 MMA promotion in the world behind UFC, even though it's a boxing promotion? Like, who else is doing that? PFL just had maybe their best weekend in a long-ass time, but that 17,000 sold in Philly, the fans went home happy, there's storylines to talk about, even though the McGregor thing seems unrealistic. Are they number 2 right now behind UFC?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They are. I mean, the reality is this. They're not an MMA promotion, but can you tell the audience what you called them before the show? Because I actually feel like people know this, but the framing of it explicitly is helpful.
It's an MMA promotion that does boxing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. And of course, it's an amended version of boxing.
Sure.
But yes, that is essentially what they are. And for that reason, they've captured the MMA audience. They have like a ton of MMA fighters. Their biggest events all feature MMA fighters, all kind of moonlighting. It was interesting to me, BC, because the quality of what you got on the PFL was by far the highest quality main event of the weekend. But if you watch this BKFC event, dude, just the McGregor walkout alone.
So he comes out to GNR's Welcome to the Jungle.
I mean, which is gross that they're rehabilitating him, but
it worked. The crowd was going insane.
It worked, and more to the point, BKFC made that event feel, from the production standpoint, from selling tickets, the whole 9 yards, big. They made it feel big, and they did it in Philly. They didn't do it in Dubai. They did it at home. What other MMA promotion right now, outside of the UFC, can pull 17,000 plus at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? None of them. I don't even know if PFL could pull 7,000 on their best date at any city of their picking in the United States. This is what I mean by holding that fight in Dubai. It was fine for the broadcast, but what are you doing for your North American audience?
You make a good point.
I don't know if they're building anything, whereas BKFC, it looked like fucking I don't know anything about WrestleMania except what I see on the clips, but it looked like fucking WrestleMania.
Best thing they did was build that stage.
That stage
goes
and then the
all
walkway.
the way to the fighting surface.
For folks who may not remember this, circa UFC late 30s, UFC 40, so UFC 39, UFC 40, all that kind of, they used a ramp with explosives and they got rid of it. Strikeforce for a time brought it back. I thought it was a big difference. BKFC used it. It's a small adjustment amongst a larger set of choices that they make, but it fucking worked. It worked. The product is kind of gross, and
there was some spectacular KOs.
Well,
like
that's
gnarly
the brand.
ones.
The brand is, yes, at the top you do want some recognizable names, but I feel like BKFC, correct me if I'm wrong, Long Island Luke, because I know you like them. I feel like part of their brand, I'm not saying this is the way it works, top of the card to the bottom of the card, but I am saying for the majority of the card, you don't really care who's fighting because you know the rules are designed. The guys are bad enough with their defense where you can reliably count on some kind of insane violence to happen. And then the 2-3 fights you care about at the top of the card, they do have better names and better rivalries.
That women's fight with Starling and Beck Rawlings was gnarly.
What do you think about that assessment, Long Island Luke?
You nailed it.
Assessment? Yeah.
You nailed it, because I was only tuning in for the top 3 fights, Beck, Ben Rothwell, and the main event, obviously, and I was thoroughly enjoyed for every single fight. We had some, like, a bunch of underdogs winning. A plus 1,400 dude won.
He was doing a live stream during this.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Hardcore.
Crazy time.
So this is, dude, if you could take the promotional ability of BKFC and marry that with the quality of the kind of MMA that PFL is capable of, that together would be a dynamic challenge.
What do I keep saying on all my channels here that everybody hates? I said, whether we're talking about PFL or GFL or whomever, You need raw energy and almost like a rebel image that's aligns with ECW in the 90s, Luke, because it looked enough like mainstream wrestling, but it was just batshit crazy. BKFC has cornered the market on that, if we're being honest.
Yes.
It's got pro wrestling vibes and how the storylines are built. It's got a bunch of trashy, gnarly looking, remember the movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone? It's like all those guys that he went one-on-one with in arm wrestling. That's who like the heavyweight division is here. And not my favorite cup of tea, but they market the shit out of this, the grassroots, old school way. And whether you love him or hate him, getting McGregor involved has been a big boon for them. We'll get to that in a second. I want to bring up the fight quickly in the main event. Jeremy Stephens, did he just score the biggest win in his combat sports career, Luke?
We should talk about that.
41-year-old Eddie Alvarez was coming off a loss to Mike Perry.
Yes.
But he hung in there for 2 rounds. But when Jeremy started landing those hard counter shots, a big right hand dropped Alvarez in round 3. He gets dropped twice, and then his corner stops him. And it looked like his jaw, or it looked like there was some, swelling and growth on his face. I don't know if there were broken bones, but he got effed up here. And Stephens was able to play that villain role in front of the hostile Philly crowd. In a weird way, you had to feel good for him, right? Like this was his moment.
It's similar to what Mike Perry was getting in terms of rejuvenation. Now, if you look at Stephens' career, I made a list of his 5, what I consider to be his 5 best MMA wins.
Sure.
He beat RDA in 2008. Now, that was before RDA was really RDA, but that's a great name on your resume, and it was a vicious win. He beat Renan Barão in 2016. Now, granted, this was the fight after Dillashaw thrashed him, so he wasn't exactly in a great place, but that's a big name.
Sure.
But the best stretch of his career was 3 fights in a row. He beat decisioned Gilbert Melendez in 2017, and then he KO'd both Doo Ho Choi and Josh Emmett in 2018. You have to ask yourself, is this win better than that one? I don't think from what it means for combat sports wins, it is. But in terms of promotional attraction,
yeah, and probably money, he probably got paid
probably
very
money,
well.
this is the most significant win of his career. And again, to the point you raised, Eddie Alvarez is the Philly guy. This was a sold-out Philly
They showed
crowd.
up for him, let's be honest. I mean, they may have showed up for McGregor and the violence, but they showed up for Eddie.
By the way, Eddie, I mean, it's kind of funny. He's been the underground king. Didn't look all that underground to me anymore.
No.
He looked like he'd arrived, to be perfectly honest.
He's not, I mean, he's at the extreme end of his fighting career.
Yes, he definitely is.
But he looked, for what this is, for what the sport is, he looked good in there until he didn't. And he has, he's looked okay. He beat Chad Mendes in a close fight. He got beat by Mike Perry. And he was in this and leading it until somebody with superior power took over. But that's this weird sport. You connect with a fist, you're going to cause problems. There's going to be a change in your opponent.
I think bare knuckles going to be a problem for Eddie because 1, he's older, and then 2, Eddie always had a problem in MMA. I'm not saying anything anyone doesn't know. He got rocked a lot.
Flash chin. He has like a flash chin. Yeah.
And as you get older, especially in a sport like BKFC where you're right on top of each other, that's going to be tough to persevere. Now, granted, he fought a very young Mike Perry, and Jeremy Stephens obviously still has a lot left in the tank for this particular stage of his career. But, I think Eddie obviously had much better MMA careers than either Mike Perry or Jeremy Stephens by a considerable distance. Hello, he was a UFC champion. He was a Bellator champion. Like, he did a lot. But it's come to the end
His
here,
wife was the loudest she's ever
she's
ever
all, dude,
been.
You know what? I do. It
Ride or die.
It's not for me, but I'll say this, man. I've been watching Eddie Alvarez fights a long time, and I've been hearing his wife screaming for a long time.
This was blood curdling. This was...
Yeah, but dude, like, fucking marriage is hard. Life is hard.
Yeah.
I'm imagining fighting for a living is even more hard.
Yeah.
And for her to just be there through all the parts of it and being the number one booster. Dude, people don't realize this. God bless Rashad Evans. His first wife was just like this. And then
when he won tough, she went nuts.
If you want to hear her, I don't know. I've never watched it on Fight Pass, but I remember watching it in real time. Go listen to her after the Sean Salmon win when he head kick KOs her.
Yes.
You hear her fucking losing her mind. But then they got divorced. You don't hear that anymore. Dude, it's 2025.
I'm sure he still hears it to some degree, but
well, it's time for to hand over the kids to the weekend. But the point I'm trying to make is Eddie's wife is still there doing this kind of thing. Yeah, does it hurt my ears? It hurts my ears. But it heals my heart, BC.
I agree with you. And this can be a very lonely sport, which was perfectly illustrated by Jeremy Stephens at the post-fight press conference. He played the heel, Luke, in the ring after the fight, but I was happy he got his moment. Let's listen to the little heathen.
The fashion you did and having Conor call you out, do you feel like you will finally get the respect you deserve? And is the hate for Philadelphia real?
Man, I did it for me, bro. I don't need no one's respect. Like I said, bro, I've been in the darkness. You know, I got 70 messages, text messages. You know, I've been knocked out before. No one fucking called me. Not my mom, not my dad, nobody. I've been in the darkness, so I had something to prove to myself. No offense, but fuck everybody. They all went against me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Eminem. I'm a piece of white trash. I say it proudly. You know, like, fuck everybody, bro. Like, that's the attitude. That was the attitude. But I love fighting here in Philadelphia, man. Like,
Look, I got to say, that's some Factory Town MMA shit. He also shouted out his dad in the post-fight interview and was like, 43 years on the job, you know, gave it all. Like, that's some Factory Town.
That was awesome.
I love that.
That was fantastic. That was, and I got to tell you, dude, like the fighters who go the furthest, whether it's MMA, boxing, or, you know, transition to the next stage of their career, like obviously he's now in bare knuckle, the guys who kind of get clarity about why they're doing this, and sometimes that clarity is, I'm doing this just for money.
Yeah. Sometimes
that clarity is, I'm doing it for me. Whatever that clarity is, it takes time for them to actually understand what really powers them.
For some people, it was either this or stripping.
It was this or it was buttholes on OnlyFans.
Yeah,
you know
it might
what I mean?
end up there as well. Yeah.
But the point I want to make was he clearly understood what his raison d'etre, as we say, like why, like there's reason to be.
Yeah.
Why is he doing this? What matters to him? What powers him? And dude, that clarity of purpose, man, when you really can weed out everything else and you can home in on that, that's powerful. It's really powerful.
I think Jeremy Stephens against Mike Perry feels like a no-brainer, even though they're a little bit different in size.
It's definitely very different in size.
But Conor McGregor got into the ring, faced off with Jeremy Stephens. Obviously, they have who the fuck is this guy? You know, the history at UFC press conference.
Can we make a point about this?
Yeah.
It tells you how far Conor has fallen. Also, to a degree, how far Jeremy Stephens has risen.
Yes.
That the guy who Conor treated as who the fuck is that guy is now the guy he's facing off with. So you have to give Stephens credit for getting himself to this position, yes. But Conor has lowered the bar about who he wants to position himself next to in such a dramatic way that was, if you had told that Conor on that day of that press conference, you're going to be facing off with this guy a little bit later, however many years it was, he would have told you you're out of your fucking mind.
That's definitely true, and we all would have said you're out of your effing mind, but this is his business now. So I think he's also willing to lower.
I didn't say it was a bad call.
I also think he's itching to get the fight. Let's hear from Dave Feldman. This isn't a joke, according to Conor.
Well, one more thing. As I was walking out of the arena, Conor actually tapped me on the shoulder, and he told me to make sure that I tell everybody that he's fighting Jeremy Stephens in BKFC. That's what he said.
I mean, he's got 2 fights on the UFC deal.
I'm telling you, Conor just told me that he's fighting Jeremy Stephens in bare knuckle.
Long Island Luke, let's go to this meme real quick, and then we'll get Luke's response on how not likely this is. Yeah. So, Luke, we saw Conor arguing on that Logan Paul inauguration thing to the Paul brothers about, like...
You can't even do your main job,
Yeah, but no, we saw him arguing, like, why are you just listening to WWE? You should push through. There's nothing that Conor can do here, right?
I mean, Conor can go and tell Dave Feldman whatever he wants, but unless Dana White also agrees, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does. It literally does. And now, by the way, maybe he'll agree. Maybe he'll go out and be like, you know what? I didn't like, for the reasons you indicated. Hey, you know what? I don't really want you making money off Jake Paul, but you want to go make money with BKFC for whatever the fuck? Fine. You can go do it. Fine. Then it will happen. But I'm just telling you, the buck stops with the monopoly. Like, that's just how it all works.
I'm with you. Quickly, in the co-main event, you want to talk about Mike Perry, Jeremy Stephens raising their profile in BKFC. How about Ben Rothwell?
Ben fucking Rothwell.
Unfortunately, he poked Mick Terrell in the eye in round 1 and then came back after the eye poke to land this beautiful right hand. He's the BKFC heavyweight champion. That's the ringside view that BKFC put out on social. It was a thunderous finish. Rothwell very happy, and I think we got sound here of Rothwell. He shouted out Philly afterwards. Let's hear him in the post-fight press conference.
Ben, President David Feldman said that you'd make a great fit for the $25 million tournament. Are you open to that?
Yeah! Thank you for asking. Yes! I'm in. Good luck finding the opponents. But I'm in, because if this is bare knuckle, I'm going to win it. You're going to change my life, because I will win it. I don't care who you put in there. Get the biggest, best names. Bare knuckle is different than anything I've done in my life. I've done kickboxing, boxing, MMA. I've done it all. This is not like anything. You just don't do this. You just don't learn it. So let's put me in it because I'm the best. I am the fucking best at this.
Dude,
I felt
gotta
good
say,
for him.
I fucking love Ben Rothwell.
Yes, I felt good for him.
Ben Rothwell, by the way, a guy who was, people forget about this. He was I think he beat Roy Nelson for the IFL heavyweight championship way back in the day. He's been consistently excellent. Another one of these guys who has done a lot of soul searching through ups and downs. Family guy. Couldn't be happier for Ben Rothwell, who deserves this. And by the way, just look at that fucking grizzly bear.
Put him in the $25 million tournament. Let's go.
You can't lose.
Yeah.
He looks the part. He's playing the part. He's getting the rewards I think he deserves. Good for him, dude.
Feldman
Good for
did tell
him.
Ariel that the tournament will be like a couple division window. So it'll almost, you know what I mean? It'll almost be like.
So it's not open weight exactly?
No, but it will be like, might be light heavyweight and heavyweight. Like they're going to almost combine two.
I see. Okay.
You know, that could be interesting. So
Put him in there. He earned it. Put him in there.
Good stuff this weekend from BKFC. But Luke, you know, when you're looking for that snack at night and the nostalgia in your heart and that itching feeling inside is like, go to the sugar cereal, man. It worked for me when I was growing up. Problem is, it doesn't work with this waistline as an adult.
Also, eating that much sugar is bad for your brain.
Yeah,
It's bad
there's a
for
lot
your
of
gut
bad things about it.
microbiome.
If only I could have the same taste, but something that's wholesome and nourishing. Luckily, I found it in Magic Spoon.
Yeah, Magic Spoon, bro. You know, as a kid, I'm like you. I loved eating cereal, but as an adult, I just can't handle and don't want that much sugar. And most cereals don't really give me the protein, by the way, that I need either. You have to manage this kind of stuff. But BC, we found Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon, nostalgically delicious, taste like my childhood favorites.
Every
but-
flavor
but
tastes like it.
without all the sugar, and it has a ton of protein.
If you're low carb lifestyle, you're carb conscious, this fits right in there. The high protein, as Luke mentioned, the flavors are absolutely delicious. I love the marketing. I love the box. It just feels cool to pull that out of the cupboard. At the Campbell household, we've been taking down Magic Spoon left and right. And it's not just the fantastic cereal. It's those power bars as well, Luke, that you've been touting over there with
Oh,
Tubes.
no doubt about it. By the way, just speaking of the cereal itself, 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams net carbs. Wholesome food, BC. It fuels me. It's simple. It's high quality. And as you also indicated, they have the protein bars, which you can get the marshmallow flavor. I love. My daughter likes to taste it as well. By the way, I can feed her the cereals without all the guilt because I know she's going to enjoy it and it's not going to be full of all that nonsense. So it helps me meet my nutritional guidelines, my nutritional needs. And the best part, it tastes freaking great.
I mean, the treats, you can use it as a pre-workout. You can use it as a midnight snack. But you want to talk about the taste of the cereal. Okay, what am I getting here? How about fruity, cocoa, cinnamon roll, peanut butter, birthday cake, chocolate chip cookie, and so much more? You're not going to believe the way it tastes. You're not going to believe the ingredients on the box. I'm a big believer in Magic Spoon. So how about you get involved too? So how about this? Get $5 off your next order right now at magicspoon.com/combat with a K, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/combat with a K. Get $5 off right now. It's a lifestyle choice for me, Luke. I represent Magic Spoon.
Yeah, I mean, I've been shopping in my local grocery stores are Harris Teeter and Giant, and then there's a Target by my house that's also got some stuff. All three carry Magic Spoon.
I think Costco too. You can even give that 5 big booms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, who does the boom? He's like, 5 big booms for Osama bin Laden. Boom.
Okay.
boom, boom.
Let's keep it going there. Thank you very much. Magicspoon.com/combat with a K.
By the way, I became a Costco member.
You did finally.
Yeah, I feel like that is a.
You more of a chicken bake guy or a?
So I've never had
or
the
a
chicken bake.
double chunk chocolate cookie.
So the other day I went in there because I changed my pharmacy to the Costco there
yes.
because the CVS.
Oh, now you can grab a glizzy on the way out.
Well, the CVS by my house is just a fucking disaster. So I changed it to the Costco. So I've still never had the hot dog. I've never had the chicken bake. I did have a slice of the pepperoni pizza.
Put you in the bathroom instantly. It went right through you.
It was excellent. It was delicious.
It comes with directions to Joseph A. Bank.
It was delicious.
Okay.
I couldn't believe how
I
good
didn't
it
know
was.
we're shilling for Costco now. There you go. Hey, let's go back to our topics. And topic number 3. What in the damn hell was that? Hey, Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we watched the GFL, the Global Fight League, have their inaugural draft ahead of what is supposed to be their inaugural season. But from AI superhero montages to accidentally leaking the full results of the draft before it even ended, to just halfway through the broadcast going, F it, we'll stop the draft now. Here's all the picks. And why does everybody live near this team that they're on? Oh, was this pre-planned? I don't understand. Luke, Friday's GFL draft felt like a bad SNL skit, a comedy of errors. So what did it say to you about the prospects of this league ever even launching, let alone becoming a success?
Well, I've always thought it was a complete gigantic tire fire, and nothing about this assuaged any of those concerns. They should just change the name from GFLBC to AIDS. I think that's a better...
Oh, my God. Come on. I mean, are you serious right now?
Where's my hip-hop horn? There. God damn. Help me dunk. You're supposed to like, Kobe's and I'll come in Shaq, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what people need to see to realize that, like, the fight game is full of carnies. It's full of carnival barkers.
What the hell was this, Luke?
It was nonsensical. It didn't even look like the draft was an actual draft. It looked like they had pre-planned all of the picks.
Great night for MMA Twitter, by the way.
Great night for MMA Twitter. By the way, they would announce picks in the 11th round after the 5th. They were...
Let's be honest. There was no draft. They assigned the fighters
Yes.
to the cities they're affiliated with.
Yes, it had nothing to, and everyone they had they had Sage Northcutt and his wife or whoever fake acting.
Okay, can
once
we
they got
show the
picked.
Sage Northcutt clip, please?
Sage Northcutt.
Super Sage, yes.
Well, he is former UFC and one
I've seen better acting on a House Hunters International episode, Luke. Okay. Can we go to the Goldie tweet as well? The tweet about Goldie had a few great one-liners. Mike Goldberg just called Aspen Ladd one of the most decorated female fighters ever and a former champion.
Well, I don't want to kill Mike, but
all right.
Suffice to say,
did you hear what they said about Derek Brunson?
No.
Let's go to Robin Black right now.
You see a guy like Brunson, and you see his body, and you see how fast he is, and you think of his attributes, and you kind of forget that actually fighting happens in the brain, right? The brain interprets the movement. When we see a fastball hitter hit a ball, we know something is happening in the brain to slow it down and let us see it. Brunson fights like that. He sees everything unfolding in front of him, and he's able to pick spots. So yes, he is, a race car, but he's also an artist, and he's very, very sharp, and his brain is really good, and he just sees everything coming, sees it all unfold.
Yeah, and Derek Brunson.
Luke, I've been saying for years that Brunson is race car qualities, but definitely an artist.
I don't know what to say to that. That is, I'll just say this. I don't know what people were expecting. It was a format, the team format. The team format is nonsensical to begin with. They don't have any events planned.
They drafted Rashad Evans against his own will.
They drafted people who were not even eligible to be drafted. One guy was in a Polish prison for the last year before they even tried.
Yeah.
And then they roll out this draft, which is not a draft, with fake acting.
Hey, Dylan Dennis got drafted.
Dylan Dennis gets drafted. It's the AIDS. This is the most nonsensical nothing burger that ever existed. There's absolutely nothing to it. They may hold an event, BC. They may hold a few events, but like, even if they're able to rattle off a few of these, does anyone think this has any long-term potential? This is not to say you can't find fault with BKFC or PFL or really any other promoter out there, but they at least have something going. BKFC proved to you concept. Look what we just did in Philly. Fair enough. PFL has been doing a lot. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, but they had this event in Dubai. Proof of concept. It worked.
They followed my mock draft strategy.
They're using AI slop with an AI song, AI future Sparta.
Yeah, but that song's a banger. You want to hear it?
No, wait. They're going to copyright kill us if we play it.
Oh, come on.
Right? They'll copyright kill. Dude, YouTube will fuck us.
All right, we should play it safe then.
Yeah, I think they'll fuck us. I agree.
I could mute it. We could play
Dude,
it
like
muted.
everything about it screams low-rent carnival barker to the nth fucking degree. This was obvious before, and now it is simply incontestable.
All right, let's go to the tweet with the stats. So the average age of the GFL
This is my
roster
guy, Oven. Oven's the man.
is 35.7 years. And get this now, 26% of the fighters on the roster are over 40. 61% are over 35. Now, Luke, I've said it before. I think they would have more success early on branding themselves as almost a senior league. So for as many events as they can actually pull off here, would you actually say the best strategy is to take advantage of the names, make Kevin Lee versus Tony Ferguson 2, which both fighters were talking about on Twitter. Put Dylan Dennis against another, like make literally the most ridiculous and absurd matchups you can to bring in as much interest as possible.
If I was in charge of the GFL, I'm being dead serious. Here's what I would do. I would try as quickly as possible to get some kind of meme coin going, rug pull all the investors, and then move to a country with non-extradition treaties with the United States. Anything else is a gigantic waste of their time and everybody else's. There's nothing. This is.
Are you more into Doge or the Melania meme coin?
I haven't seen the. I don't know whether I don't follow phony financial assets all that closely.
Hawk Tua coin.
I thought the Hawk Tua thing got pulled already.
Probably.
Yeah,
that's all. That shows you what I know.
I think
about
they're listing.
currency.
I think they're listing the Trump coin in like Coinbase and stuff like that. But in any case, this is vaporware. This is vaporware. This is the most MMA vaporware I've literally ever seen. And I've been covering this sport a long fucking time. I've never seen something that has less get talked about more than AIDS. It's unbelievable what they're trying to do.
I mean, this felt like an all-time low moment of the presentation that they were doing. I get that they tried hard. They put these fighters in AI superhero costumes and had them come out to an absurd rap song. But it was just like to watch them like show you accidentally behind the curtain with that full screen and everything that was happening. Really long interviews on that broadcast.
I really want to get Bong Island Luke Lowe to here because before the show, he was like, dude, I think GFL is going to overtake UFC. And I was like,
I haven't been that shocked since Mikey went to bat for Burnt Chrysler. Remember he did that?
Dude, can you imagine trying to argue in 2025 Burnt Chrysler is funny? You genuinely have to have been hit in the head with a tire iron. Like, I don't know how else to do it.
In my defense of the GFL, going into this event, I would have said they put on, 4 or 5 events this year. I'm actually not even thinking they put on an event at this point. I got to be honest.
Dude, they're going to put on AI fights, and they might be better than the actual ones they could put on.
Isn't the report? Yeah, somebody had a great tweet that this was all just a commercial for a video game where all these fights were going to happen, and that's the AI. Didn't it feel, though, that I forgot the train of thought I was going. Something negative toward them of what I...
Everyone has AIDS.
Yeah, whatever.
AIDS.
Whatever. I mean, I don't look, that's going to be up there with that picture of Bjorn Rebney with the MMA union with Dillashaw and GSP.
Yeah,
like
or
it's
the Mexico tweet as well.
Yeah, that was like an all-time fluff moment. It reminded me of that famous WCW wrestling moment where the guy comes through the wall with the stormtrooper mask on. What the hell was that wrestler called?
Super Blaster or Super?
Yeah, no, something. You know what I'm talking about, Long Arm Luke?
I don't know.
I'm having a brain fart moment.
He had the stormtrooper mask that was like a shiny.
Yes, it was the Shockmaster.
Shockmaster, I remember this
which is just an all-time hilarious moment.
No, but Shockmaster actually existed. He actually walked through or fell through a wall. It was a person.
He tripped over the bottom board. It was the guy that was Tugboat in WWE.
Tugboat. Oh my God, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Uncle Fred.
There's a few things in MMA history that kind of stand out for their insane silliness. Dada 5000 being one of them, nearly dying in a Bellator fight, which was kind of amazing.
Face the Pain is another one.
Face the Pain's another one. The Yama fighting pit, which was like this lip that was on the edge of a fighting surface.
The Just Bleed guy. These are the things.
Just Bleed guys. The GFL draft and the GFL more generally is going to be a part of that. It blows my fucking mind that people think there is anything to this being any. I mean, again,
it drives me nuts.
Again, hold on. Might there be an event? There might be. Might the event be good? It might be. But that this is anything that has any sustainability at a bare minimum relative to what the UFC is doing is like fucking comical.
I just hope we get Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson too. And what's the bet? What's
someone texted me? Someone texted me Dylan Dennis versus Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. Long Island Luke, what's the most ridiculous matchup you can make?
Weidman Rockhold 2. Let's go.
Oh, yes.
Jesus.
Dude, seriously, you make your first card main evented by Weidman Rockhold 2. I'm in. Okay, but the air is going to come out of the balloon. Really, it's going to be like that gum that you used to buy for 3 cents as a kid. You get like one chew and then the flavors go.
What do you think about Dylan Dennis and Tony Ferguson?
Tony would run right through him.
I don't know.
I think Eddie doesn't belong in BKFC. You bring Eddie into GFL. You do Eddie and Tony.
How long before Michael Chandler's in GFL?
Yeah, he's not going back to PFL, is he? He might do BKFC.
We're going to get Eddie versus Chandler 3 somewhere, right? I hope not at the Lava Shack.
You could get it at BKFC. Okay. You could get it there. I don't know if you will, but you could.
Okay.
Anyway.
You know who else could get it? We'll tell you on our Patreon show later.
Are you gonna say Eileen Perez or something?
No, why would you sexualize a?
Because I'm looking at your smile, and it only means one thing. It means you got a boner.
Okay,
And those dungarees.
I have phoners, but I'm too old for the other side of that. Luke, okay. Thank you very much.
Vaporware.
Thank you to the GFL draft for entertaining us. That was more than I ever expected. Tyron Woodley, the #1 pick by Dubai. So there you go.
He was the #1 pick.
Yeah, Kevin
Wait, we
Lee
didn't
was
talk
called-
about the Abubakar Nurmagomedov graphic that said Team Duabi, and it had him as a UFC champ, Strikeforce champ.
It had Douglas
and all this
Lima
other
having
shit.
knocked
Do you
out.
have Do you have it?
No,
I could probably get it, but I don't have it.
Douglas Lima full screen board said best wins KO1 Cain Velasquez. They must have just copy and pasted the JDS one.
They had Douglas Lima.
Yes.
The former Bellator welterweight champ. His best win was KOing Cain Velasquez.
That's like saying, remember when Pantoja knocked out Makhachev? It's like, heard it both ways, ultimately.
All right.
Okay.
We're doing skits and
I'm gonna beg.
beans.
Yeah. Hey, let's keep it going here. Topic number 4. We got MMA this weekend, and it does matter. A fight night of large concern considering the Riyadh season partnership and sponsorship that goes with it. It's UFC Fight Night Riyadh, and there's at least 2 fights that you really do have to see, maybe a third. And Luke, let's talk about that main event, middleweights. And at age 35, Israel Adesanya, the 2-time former champion, has now lost 3 of 4 fights, 2 of them by stoppage. So, Luke, when we look at this main event of Adesanya versus Nassourdine Imavov, what is the biggest storyline surrounding this matchup that you are focused in on come Saturday?
So what's kind of interesting, if you look at this fight and you look at what Izzy's coaches have been saying, it wasn't Eugene Behrman, it was another one from City Kickboxing. I cannot pronounce his last name correctly.
Is his last name Blood Diamond?
No. It's like it's some kind of I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a unique last name. He was basically saying that like this time around, the kind of training that Izzy's putting out and the way he is looking has him thinking that he's got another title run left in him. Izzy, 35 years of age. Pop quiz, BC. How old is Nassourdine Imavov? Without looking?
I would guess 33.
He is 28. 28. He is very, very young. Here's what I'm going to say. The value of this fight is that if Izzy's coaches are correct and he wins this one, I actually don't think it's impossible at all for him to at least get another title shot. Now, whether he can win one, I don't know, but I'm going to say that's in play.
Okay.
But what I think is really happening here is they're trying to see what they've got with Imavov as he surges into his prime. Everyone who's been fighting up to this point has been fighting him pre-prime. Well, now he's entering into it. And additionally, it's a very, very interesting style clash. This is another one of those fights. Who's coming? Who's going?
Indeed.
Who's got the future? Who's the past? Or in the case of Imavov, if he loses, I'm not going to say he'll never be anything, but it would be a detriment to any kind of future implication. So you get the idea. But it's a contrast, not just of styles and, of course, geographic location to a degree, but really about where the division is going. And listen, at lightweight, we thought all those young guys were going to come out and force everyone off, and it didn't really work that way.
No, those old guys are digging in and
They're
representing.
digging their heels
Did
in.
I think Poirier was going to stop BSD? Nope.
So is this going to be a case at middleweight? Are the older guys going to dig their heels in and not let the upstarts really take over? A fight like this is going to go a long way towards answering that.
Well said. Odds per DraftKings at the moment, Adesanya a -170 betting favorite. Imavov plus 142. We do have some sound here from Adesanya talking about what's in front of him in terms of the challenge that Nassourdine brings to the table.
Imavov, this is the biggest fight of his life, and I know he's going to come ready, so it's my job to shut that down, and that's what I'm going to do. He's slick, bro. He's really slick, wah, wah, and I like that. I like his style, so I want to test that. There's no pressure on me, but I like to put pressure on myself when the time comes, because I am Israel Adesanya.
Luke, when fighters get to this point, and you can argue we saw that in the DDP fight, they can still harness together a close enough version of their elite self to give you some problems. But whether it comes down to stamina or willingness to go to war, they can slow down quick. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened when DDP submitted Adesanya here, but if you were Imavov entering this, would you be thinking that you may have a guy who can look good for a bit, But does he still have that gut to sit down and get into a war? Would you try to make it a war? I wonder if that's something they're talking about here.
Yes, I would.
Knowing he's been stopped twice, lost 3 of his last 4.
If I'm Imavov, I think there's a couple things I'm looking for. One, I'm going to put this fight in boxing range because you're going to know Izzy's going to want to keep it at kickboxing range. Which, by the way, Imavov can fight at that range too. I don't think quite as well as Izzy, but you're going to have to put this fight on disadvantageous terms if you're Imavov, and I think that's also advantageous for him to have it inside boxing range, so that pressure is going to be interesting. But I think he's going to test that wrestling of Izzy too. And here's the interesting part about Izzy, as I've noticed he's gotten older. Sometimes in the grappling, the more you make him grapple, it's not like his defense gets like, oh, it noticeably gets worse over time. That's actually not quite right. But he begins out of nowhere to make bad decisions at times, or he gets kind of like locked into place and can't really go anywhere. Like the turning his back to, it's less from the grappling, but as the fight wore on and he got a little more tired, you saw him turn his back to DDP, and that's when he got hit, and then he just showed his back and didn't scramble at all. As the fight goes on, it's not like he gets tired and like, oh, I just, brain fart, but he can be kind of made to act in a way where he takes a little bit of license. And I think that can, if you're young, maybe not the biggest deal, but when you get a little bit older, it actually can really cost you. It really cost him against DDP. Granted, DDP is the champion. Imavov is just 28 and has some more proving to do, but you see my point. Putting pressure on Izzy, not exclusively, but a lot through the grappling department, I think yields mistakes, and those mistakes yield opportunities.
DDP is also big, awkward, and relentless. And here's a fun clip. We mentioned that it happened, that Adesanya and old buddy Robert Whittaker not only came together to train, but to make content. Here's them laughing about DDP, but giving him respect at the same time.
There was one I remember when I sprawled on him and like head hit the mat. I tried to kick him on the ground and I was like, get up. And I advanced and straight away he just went. And I had to stop. So it stopped my momentum and I had to reset. So he's just weird, man. He's like the best shit fighter in the world.
Dude.
He's so good.
Yeah.
I can't even fault him for it, eh?
Because it works. Bastard. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I fought him, in that like first 30 seconds, like, dude, he's so slow. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like out of nowhere. Like, I'm like, bro, he just...
Dude, but then I got punched in the face.
That's the reality.
That's fun stuff.
That's actually really. I saw this too. This is really good stuff. Like they're the two guys. And by the way, fucking DDP finished both of them. It's you can't believe it.
You got to shout him out. He is one of the pound for pound best, even if he does it differently than others. Hey, the co-main event at middleweight, it'll be a one-off for Michael Venom Page in MVP, and he'll be a +164 underdog per DraftKings in this matchup with rising Sharabullet Magomedov, who can look human or weird or not ready for prime time at times, and then come back with a double back fist KO. He looks like a pirate. And Luke, this matchup has gotten oddly personal. Did you see this post from Sharabullet? It was in response to comments from MVP. He posted a video from a horror movie that he was a part of.
Okay.
And the words here are from Sharabullet on that post. I heard you say I will bleed in our fight. Yes, I will bleed only in yours. That was aggressive right there.
Those are the text messages I sent to you when we're beefing.
Okay, that was something. Luke Thomas, we're gonna break these down and make our picks on Friday, but it's a big opportunity for Sharabullet to continue being looked at as a hyped guy or an attraction. But at some point, we're gonna have to
against an unusual matchup too. Yeah. Against a guy who's gonna touch and go versus Petrosian, his last fighter, who just kind of stands in front of you and swings. Very, very different styles. We're going to actually see to what extent Bullet's got other skills we haven't seen yet, to what extent he can problem solve. This is one of those fights where, Michael Venom Page is not the best fighter in the world, but he is an interesting test to see what your problem-solving abilities look like. Let's see.
He slows down Sharabullet's output and makes it more of this, like, tense chess match where you're leaping in.
Yeah.
It could get interesting, but if you're Sharabullet, if you can turn this into a war, what does that look like against MVP?
He's going to have to walk MVP down and crowd him a little bit. That's going to make it interesting.
It's going to be fun. That'll go down this Saturday afternoon, is it? Start time?
So, yeah, it's a Saudi Arabian card.
12 p.m. main card.
12 p.m. Eastern main card.
I'm going to have 2 streams this weekend.
Oh, you're going to have like a jug while you're...
No. I'm going to do a stream for the UFC fights?
Oh, I thought you meant if you had to pee, you'd just
No.
have the second stream going.
No. And then I'm going to watch and do a stream for the Benavidez Morrell fights too.
All right. You got any plans for a golden stream, or is that too personal?
Yeah. After the show's over, in your face. How about that?
Thank you, R.
I'm
Kelly.
gonna pee on you.
There's one more event.
That's what I'm gonna do.
That's just as big, if not bigger, and it's going down Saturday in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. PBC's back on Prime Video pay-per-view. Unbeaten light heavyweights, 2 Davids by name, but 2 Goliaths in the way they throw down here, as David Benavidez and David Morrell Jr. basically said, I'm not waiting on Canelo anymore, and turned around and pointed the Spider-Man meme at each other. So, Luke Thomas, at the end of the day, what is the most enticing reason why you are so excited to see Benavidez and Morrell main event what is, I think, a very deep pay-per-view card offered on Prime Video this weekend?
I think this is actually important that I answer this one first because you're the boxing guy, and by the way, one more time, I'm going to say this: BC is on the pay-per-view call for the main event, and the whole main card, obviously, but which is, dude, what's the biggest call you've ever been assigned?
That's a great question. In terms of level, it was probably a Showtime pay-per-view. Their last one, when David Benavidez beat Demetrius Andrade, I handled the in-ring interviews for that.
No, but I mean like commentary.
Do you remember when Spence Ugas fought on pay-per-view in Dallas?
We were there.
Yeah, I called the 2 prelim fights on regular Showtime. One was a title bout, Imantas Staniotis against Rajab Butayev. But that's more of a hardcore special, right?
Yeah.
I've called some showbox fights. Actually, the highest profile fight I ever called was Usyk Bellew on DAZN. Yes.
That's a pretty big one.
That's a pretty big one.
But you weren't there in the arena, were you?
No, I called that from a closet in Miami.
So in terms of being in the arena, this is the biggest fight you've ever called.
I wasn't trying to make it all about me, but if you want to, this is like a mountaintop moment to some degree for me, and I'm so excited. I'll be on color commentary. I'll be handling the in-ring interviews.
Tell the folks again who you're calling it with.
Morrell Ronaldo, Abner Morris, and then Jordan Plant, as well as doing reporting, and then I think it's Brian Custer and Joe Goosen.
Joe Goosen gonna be wearing the denim. I know he is.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, I love a lot of those. I love all those people, by the way. I've loved getting a chance to work with them in various stops in the past.
I've actually got 5 reasons that I've listed that this fight rocks. And I have to tell you, this is why this fight is so great between David Benavidez and David Morrell. Especially if you're an MMA fan, you're like, I only want to tune into boxing when you get like a real good reason. Guys, you've got 5 good reasons to turn into this fight.
Let's go.
Number 1, it's a grudge match, and a hardcore grudge match. These 2 guys hate each other. David Morrell says he's been calling out David Benavidez, who was avoiding him. David Benavidez is like, I'm not avoiding you. They took this fight, and they can't be in the same room without screaming, pushing, shoving, yelling.
Want to throw to that?
Yeah. Let's
throw to that. This was them in Miami. They had a workout and did a face-to-face, and there we go. This is real, by the way. This is very much real.
They cannot be in the same room without absolutely losing it on each other. So number 1, they don't like each other. And I know a lot of times we say that in the fight world. A lot of times it's either overstated or somewhat true. It's not overstated at all. David Benavidez loathes this guy, and Morrell thinks he's going to run right through him. Can't wait. That's reason number 1. Number 2, how about this one, BC? They are both undefeated. Somebody's O has to go. And obviously in boxing, that carries a little bit more significance than it would in MMA, where you see guys lose fights and it's not the end of the world. And I don't think it'll be the end of the world here necessarily either. But the margin of error on this one in general is low, and the cost of getting it wrong is real damage to your record in a sport where you can ill afford that. I think it creates a little bit more of an incentive to watch. And also I think for these guys, they don't want to lose no matter what, but especially they don't want to give up their first loss to the guys that they hate. Number 3, style contrast. You've got a slick boxer puncher, I'm going to call him that, in David Morrell, and you've got a wall of firepower in David Benavidez. And it's so funny because Morrell and his team, do we have him calling him RoboCop? Making fun of him, calling him RoboCop? Do we have that one?
Can we throw this Benavidez?
Please watch this. Watch this.
Now, the fight David Morrell Jr. has been waiting for is finally here. He's got the opponent, the spotlight, and the opportunity to prove he belongs at the top.
I got everything. Fast, power, defense, attack, legs, move. So I got everything, you know what I mean? Benavidez can dance, So only for this, you see the movie, the RoboCop, right? He's the same. Buddy. I don't know why people say, okay, he's the monster, blah, 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 blah. I mean,
That's from Gloves Off, by the way. The
So
special.
the style contrast. Morrell is super slick, and he has got good firepower, but he's one of these Cuban guys that will dance and circle and angles and combinations and rhythm change and timing change.
Uppercuts from out of nowhere.
Uppercuts. He's fucking awesome to watch. And David Benavidez is a tsunami of firepower.
Yeah.
Who is, by the way, quite hittable and knows it, but it's part of his whole style. You got to love it. That's reason number 3. BC, because of the style contrast, I think there's all different kinds of bouts we could get.
Yes.
Right? You could get, and I think it'll end up being a super high action fight eventually, but the first half of that fight could be nip and tuck. It could open up right away.
Could be a Cotto Margarito 1 type thing where there's big boxing early for Morrell, but Benavidez goes downhill in that second half and starts really closing up that real estate.
So because of the way in which they match up, you can get all different kinds of permutations in the fight itself, or you could get them for, to BC's point, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and then a switch to the other one. The ebbs and flows of this fight can change in a lot of different directions because of who they are and how they match up. And BC, this is also a reason number 5 to like it. It's the fights that the winner sets up. Does the winner get Canelo? I don't think that they will, but it will certainly be part of the conversation. However, does the winner get the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol in the same fucking weight class? I think there's a very good chance of that. So BC, you've got all the reasons, and yes, there's something of a title unification. It's the regular WBA title with the interim WBC title, so there's kind of unification, but that's really not the reason. All the reasons that you like a fight. It'll be action-packed. It'll be a weird and a great style contrast. They hate each other. They're fucking undefeated. What sets up the future? It's got every part of that chain. This fight is the one I've been looking forward to in boxing since, discounting Usyk Fury, since maybe even Spence Crawford. This fight fucking bangs.
I saw Dan
Don't miss
Canobio
it.
on Twitter basically trying to make the argument that this is the best fight you can make this year, just in terms of like the stakes, the talent, the unbeaten records, the disgust between them. And Luke, I can add on to what you said with those 5 very good reasons of each other is the toughest matchup of their career, I think, without question.
Right. This is the toughest fight for both of them. Yeah.
And so it's not just a great style contrast. It's not just, oh, man, been some fun trash talk. It's not just, hey, the winner could be getting better BF Bivol. And oh, by the way, I did see Benavidez this week rehash that story in sparring where he says he nearly stopped Bivol.
Yeah,
so
turned
that's
him up,
something to
tuned him
think
up, he
about
says.
right there. I think the thing that drives me the most when you combine all of these elements are these two are so hungry. Yes, Benavidez has already headlined a couple pay-per-views. He's getting pound-for-pound votes. He's looking like a superstar. But he hasn't had that breakthrough victory like he was hoping the Canelo one to be, where you put down that flag and you try to argue that I'm one of the best fighters in this whole sport, one of the most exciting ones. He's come really close. He's got the monster nickname from Mike Tyson, but this is that hill he has to climb. And obviously for Morrell, it's like he can do so many things great, but he's got to do something that no one's done. He's got to disarm somebody who in the second half of fights, when he comes downhill, puts that pressure on you, it overwhelms you. So it's the fact that they are both so hungry that I don't think this is going to be anything but a tense masterpiece. You know what I'm saying? Whether it becomes more action heavy or more technical, it's going to depend upon the skills of both and how they mesh. But I think this is one of those where they are both going to leave everything in the ring. This is the kind of fight that changes your career if you win and sometimes can change you if you lose. There's so much at stake. There's so much hunger. And if you like the fun trash talk, here's one more piece. Here's Benavidez summing up what Morrell means to him.
David Morrell, his team, his dog, his cat, everybody over there. My main job is to beat the out of him. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
God, that's the best commercial for the fight right there. Fuck his dog, his cat. Don't you love, by the way, that whoever Benavidez fights, it inevitably goes this way to some degree? You know what I mean? Like the build to the Plant fight was awesome.
The Vosnik fight wasn't like this.
No, that's right. You need the right dance partner, but like if he has a willing partner.
The Plant fight was definitely like this.
Yes, and it brings out the best in him. And dude, we don't really know how great David Morrell is. And that's why this fight is going to be so fun, because we are 100% going to find out. There's no scenario where you don't find out exactly what Morrell is made of going against Benavidez for 12 full rounds.
By the way, open stance fight too, so pay attention to some of those details as well.
Love that stuff right there. Those are our 5 topics for the week. Thank you very much for playing. Now we go to a segment that is to hear your voice every Sunday night at Morning Combat on Instagram, on X. We put out the call to the fans to get your questions heard. You better have a suitable enough username with no spelling or grammar issues that Luke can call out. And you better have brought it. This one's called DMs from Donks. Well, that's disgusting, Luke.
It's just jizzing.
All right, let's hear from the people. What do we got going on here right now? This one's from, how do we pronounce that? Kieran, Chakawing, Shaka Khan?
This is one of those Irish names that always looks kind of funky. And I never
Yeah, and then it's like
I don't know.
Lexus, and you're like, oh, yeah, I could see that. Krzyzewski, I got it. Okay, how do you think Paul Hughes stacks up against the top 5 lightweights within the UFC?
So I'm definitely convinced he can win inside the top 10. I think Michael Chandler's number 7. Like, people think Michael Chandler was a Bellator guy that said no, that everybody said couldn't do shit. And, you know, again, he's got more losses than wins in UFC, but he obviously does belong inside the top 10. I think it's fucking madness to think that both of those guys couldn't win inside the top 10.
Yes.
Top 5 is a little harder to say, especially since both are not even in their prime yet, I don't think. Certainly Hughes is not. I think he'd be competitive with the top 5. He might be able to get wins on the outer portion of that. You know, I don't think he's ready for the very, very, very best of the division, but give it time, he might be able to be.
Paul Hughes won the hearts of so many fans. Can we show that picture? I forgot to throw to earlier, Long Island, if you still have it.
Is this the one on his face with the blood?
Yeah, dude, this is going to become one of those iconic pics forever with the smile on his face.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
refused to wipe off the blood.
He looked, and you could see the cut right over the forehead line from a clash of heads. Accidental clash of heads. They didn't mean to. But
Usman was down and out, just like Hughes was on the second low blow. Like, they both kind of really messed with each other. That's why this fight had everything, Luke. It had it all.
That was incredible. By the way, do we have the Abu Bakr stats from the GFL thing? Put that up here real quick, because we were talking about that earlier as he's eating donuts back there like a fucking New York City cop. All right. Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov, 17-4-1. I don't even know if that's accurate, but former UFC and WEC lightweight champion. Yes, that's correct. UFC and WEC title record, 3-1. I remember all 4 fights very clearly. He's got 1 title defense. Oh, he defeated Gilbert Melendez. Okay.
Nickname
so wait,
Showtime.
this is Anthony Pettis' shit.
Yeah. Once did Showtime.
Oh, wait, the 19 finishes, but only 17 wins?
Yeah.
Well, he has been finished as well.
11 plus 8 is 19, you fucking idiot.
Oh, yeah, that's...
I just said it says 19 finishes, but he only has 17.
Yeah. The record. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
great.
And
That's great
again,
stuff.
GFL Duabi.
Okay, GFL, that's great. But also, for as much as we're clowning them,
AIDS,
we would have took
AIDS,
the paycheck
AIDS,
too.
AIDS.
I would have sat next to Goldie for the paycheck.
Yeah,
Luke.
listen, if they would have paid me, I would have done some, shucking and jiving too. But
All right, let's see what else the fans have to say. Hit me with a DM right in the hole from Real Kempy. If the PFL just sticks to putting on good events and fights, can they be as big as Strikeforce?
that's an interesting question. I don't know how to
Advantages
answer
they
that.
have are celebrity investment, like real deep-pocketed investment, it seems. They have the right relationships in the Middle East, and they're on ESPN+.
I attended in person many Strikeforce events. This may come as some great surprise to UFC fans who weren't around. Strikeforce had a fan base.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to say this again. PFL in the United States does not have a fan base. So they're asking if they keep going, can they get there? I think it's on the table. I think it's on the table that they could do something like what Strikeforce did. But they got a lot of work to get there. Strikeforce had, did you go look at that, who was in the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix?
Big names.
Big fucking names.
Big
I
names.
was there for Fedor versus Bigfoot at the Izod Center in New Jersey.
And they gave you an awful seat.
Dude, they didn't give me an awful seat. They gave me the worst seat in the house.
They gave you a seat that suggested you should get a new career.
Yeah. And then Scott Coker wonders why I was bitter about towards him, especially after he tried to fuck with us on the early version of MK. But
I got no issues with Coker. In fact, I enjoyed doing that show with him and Morrow during the pandemic.
I enjoyed doing that show too. But
we got paid stupidly well for that.
No, I enjoyed doing that show too. But I had issues with him. So yeah.
Luke, there is a long list of people you've had issues with in this industry.
There's a lot of people who think it's cool to fuck with me, and I don't. Some of it I ignore. Some of it I can't.
I've been fucking with you since the show
Well,
started.
I mean, that's part of the show. I mean, what are you gonna do?
What else you got, Chin? You got any more of these? Long Island at Grapple Heavy 93. Who are the 3 best Irish MMA fighters of all time?
All right, so Connor's on that list.
Okay. Sinead Kavanaugh too. No, Paul Hughes too.
Well, let me ask a question. How is it not Connor, Paul Hughes, and Ian Gary?
That's what Long Island Luke suggested pre-show, and I didn't have.
There
I
was
didn't have an
a
argument
there
against
were
it.
Irish fighters during the initial UFC foray into Ireland and the UK, circa like pre-UFC 100.
Cabbage Correa wasn't Irish, despite the first name, right, Luke?
His first name wasn't Cabbage.
I gather
He was
that, yes.
Hawaiian.
Yes.
Um,
I'm really pulling at straws here, trying to find.
do you guys remember when Marcus Davis? I think they fought in Belfast, and they made him change his name from the Irish hand grenade to like the Celtic warrior.
Oh wow!
Because they didn't want any like connotations
Yes.
with terrorism, which is understandable, I suppose. But I don't know who would be better than those three. Like Patty Houlihan is not better than these guys. Sinead Kavanaugh is not better than these guys, right?
Yeah.
Right? How is it
Right.
not those three?
I think
Who
it
are
is
we
those
forgetting?
three.
It is those three. It just feels weird to say
To
because
say, yeah.
Gary and Hughes are like so young in their careers.
And relatively new to the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, by proxy, Callum Walsh might be number 4. He's dating.
Well,
Baby Shark.
who are the
That
best
was a joke.
boxers? Would you count? Would you even count Mickey Ward?
No, he's not from the States.
I know, but they call him Irish Mickey Ward.
Right, because he's Irish. There's, it's a gimmick.
Okay, well, I'm asking: is he fucking Irish?
No. I like Carl Frampton as one of the best
Okay.
Irish
Well, who else?
boxers of all time. I get some confused whether they're UK or Irish, but yeah. Can we just keep going? You know what I mean?
Okay, I guess you hate the Irish. All right, everyone.
No,
BC
people
hates
have
the
to
Irish.
understand that I'm an 8th Irish. My great grandmother was a Brady. This is a true fact. We've been through this. She claims that she was a descendant of Andrew Jackson, the 7th president.
Do you also own slaves?
Okay, I didn't say that. The practice is carried up through the lineage, Luke. Okay, that's really insulting. And
it's like Borat. He is your slave. No, he's
my
not.
wife, she have sleeve like wizard on her. Okay, that's great. Hey, do we have any more of these jams here?
Yeah.
Let's go to @Fahey_Lee_Liam. If you could combine any MMA fighter skill set with a fighter from each discipline, i.e. boxing, wrestling, BJJ, Muay Thai, kickboxing, who would you choose? Imagine Inoue's boxing with Khabib's wrestling. Is that what they're trying to ask?
Yeah.
I think he's saying pick one. So, like, would you have Inoue's boxing, or would you choose like Khabib's wrestling? Would you choose Poaton's kickboxing, something like that?
Yeah, but from each discipline. From each discipline.
So he wants us to make a
You're
perfect
right,
fighter, right? With one person.
I'll
for
tell you
each
what. You know
discipline?
how I've always thought? Tell me how you feel about this. I've always thought, if I'm thinking of like boxing styles that translate to MMA, Inoue's a good one. I always thought Pacquiao had a good style because he had fast combination punching, set angles, good power translated up. He would have been a good, like, if you're going to borrow someone's boxing style, that's a pretty good one to
And
borrow.
he had massive calves. Let's never forget that.
And wrists. Did you know his wrists were the same size as Vladimir Klitschko's? Did you know that?
That's insane.
Yes, he had the same wrist circumference as Vladimir Klitschko. So explain some of the power punching.
Yeah.
So let's see. For Muay Thai, I mean, I'm out of my depth on this one. The kickboxing one, I'm always going to be out of my depth.
I think, aren't they just asking for, I don't know what they're asking. Long Island Luke, so they want, if you can combine an MMA fighter's skill set with a fighter's skill set from each of these disciplines.
Yeah. All right, so whose BJJ would you take? I would take, I guess, well, would I take Gordon Ryan's or would I take somebody else's? Yeah, I might take somebody else's because it's a little more athletic. I would take
Nicky Rod?
No, because he's got a heavyweight style jiu-jitsu.
Mikey Musumeci?
He's got nerd style jiu-jitsu. Something in between. God, who was that Levi Jones kid? He's real. I'm saying his name wrong. He's real fucking good.
Would you take Seagal's Aikido?
And his big old fat tummy.
Yeah.
I would take from the wrestling, I would take, you could take Satyev. For kickboxing, Ernesto Hoost. You could take Remy. You could take somebody. Boxing, I would take Pacquiao. Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Rousey's judo?
Fine.
Or would you who has better MMA judo? Harrison Rousey or our guy from Armenia? Caro.
Caro had the most. Well, Caro and Rousey had the most visible judo. That doesn't mean that Kayla has better pure.
No
judo.
one did throws like Caro. Like
Rousey had some pretty good throws on Alexis Davis. Yeah,
Caro's ones are violent. It feels like people's arms are coming out of the socket.
Caro would go for it, but then he wouldn't establish control afterwards. So everyone would just stand up again. He was like Ippon. It's like, well, you don't win by Ippon in this sport. But he had some fun ones for sure.
I was thinking one Irish boxer named Stevie Collins. I was trying to think
Collins,
of.
okay.
I don't know if there's a bigger one.
The Irish probably have a separate sense of things.
Yeah, probably. They probably don't recognize me for my 1/8 either.
I
That's
don't.
why
I
I've been
can't speak for
adopted by
the
Welsh.
Irish, but from what I can tell, they seem disdainful of Americans who identify as Irish.
Especially if you use the term Southern Ireland, like I did in our live show that time.
They don't like that.
I don't believe they like that at all.
Yeah.
I was threatened. I was threatened with violence, but that's fine. You know.
Oh wait, because you were doing Northern Ireland and then Southern Ireland.
Yeah, I had the UK plus bit. You know what I mean?
They don't like that at all.
No, but what a great show we gave him in London. There was a documentary. There's a lot of documentary footage sitting on some director's room floor right now.
I'm waiting for it to be
And
released.
that director is Jake von Amsterdam. We just need to pay him. What if we both agreed to take like a little bit out of our salary into a Jake fund just to keep the docs
I'd do
going?
that.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, I do that.
I hope Matt heard that. I don't know if
It's now or never.
Okay. Is that it, Long Island, for that stuff? No, we got one more from MT Booble. What's a topic that you could give a 45-minute presentation on with no prep? PED use in combat sports for Luke, yes.
Yes.
Business ethics. No.
45 minutes, no prep. I don't know about that.
That was a Sandler reference.
You could do one on Delta 8s in Fortnite.
Definitely on the attraction of grown men. How about men with cats? I could do a nice 45. I mean, like I have to illustrate the understanding that although his behavior doesn't represent the love I have for him because he's so selfish, Reggie and I are like a forever thing.
I could do one on the change in pornography on the internet since the 90s.
Okay, that's something right there.
I could.
Every week I'm only an expert in 70s vinyl, 90s NBA, and boxing. That's pretty much.
You know what
it
I
in
could
life.
do? I could do one on no bullshit. I could do 45 minutes on Philadelphia underground rappers.
Interesting.
On Army of the Pharaohs, Vinny Paz.
What about which fast food places have the best shitting options?
In DC, I
Yeah.
could definitely do that.
Okay.
Which restaurants like give you the most space and like the nicest toilet paper and whatnot?
Oh, wow.
Dude, I could absolutely destroy
You should have
that.
like a side website going with that where you just.
I can do that for sure.
All right.
But definitely underground rappers. By the way, white underground rappers love me. This is true. I'm followed by Vinny Paz.
Yes.
Apathy.
Yes.
And I found out the other day because he DM'd me, R.A. the Rugged Man. You know R.A. the Rugged Man from Long Island? By the way, R.A. the Rugged Man can rap his fucking ass off.
From Long Island. That's
Do you think he would ever freestyle in this studio?
We should invite him.
We should get him to do this GFL song cover. It.
We should
here.
invite him.
We got to get Immortal Technique in the studio.
Immortal Technique gave me his phone number. I have his phone.
I
We
know.
were texting back and forth. I think he wants like a boxing media career.
Dude, I'd be into that if we had him.
If you like
Immortal Technique
Squirvo,
is also
if you like
fucking
Squirvo,
awesome.
we can have him in here. On
Yeah, yeah. Dude,
on a
you know
nice
what? We should do a
pregame.
pregame preview with him when we do a boxing one.
I'd be into that.
With Immortal Technique.
Yeah.
I'd be psyched for that.
I'm into that. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, white rappers love me. They love me.
There you go. Thank you to all your questions from the listeners here. And a reminder that morningcombat@gmail.com will connect you with the show for Friday's Dead Wrongs, fan subs, and we don't recommend this, but showing Mikey your hog. You know what I mean?
Send your dick pics to
No,
him.
please don't. Seriously, that guy does not deserve that type of
Take a
treatment.
picture of your penis.
I got a final segment that sometimes has penises in it, Luke.
It sure does.
Because that's what the people are talking about on the internet. Hey, I scoped the globe, high and low, the good and bad, all that other weird stuff that I say.
do it.
This one's called BC's
I want to see
Feces.
some things.
Ooh-ah. Luke, there has been nothing but disrespect going on the hardwood. Have you seen this shit?
Let's see it.
Let's watch this in this game.
Okay, that's a clear, flagrant.
Oh, hold that as Luke was. Oh, he caught like it was the Palace Brawl. He caught that dude
He was
mid-stride.
just hitting him with the bop gun left and right. Is no one going to get involved? What the fuck are they doing?
Wow, well, they're getting involved because two kids just died. Wow, that was wild. Hey,
Jesus.
let's go to another high school game where it's like regional MMA. Anything can happen. Let's see what's going on. Notice the
why
top
is the
left of
hardwood-
the
why does
screen.
the hardwood-
Okay.
Oh, they just went to go scrap, huh?
All the coaches were getting involved. Look at this. Oh, my God.
Ground and pound. Yeah, dude, basketball's a different game these days.
Well, the disrespect on the hardwood only continued in this next clip.
I mean, could you travel a little bit more for being 5'3"? Oh, wait. Okay, well.
Oh my God. I mean, come on. If you're in a game and somebody's
This is what happens when you get rid of diversity initiatives. You don't let the kid in the wheelchair score anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this guy took it to a whole new level.
Dude, how can you teabag the wheelchair kid? I mean, what the fuck are you doing, honky? Get off the fucking ring.
Luke, speaking of wheelchair disrespect, did you see this flash mob that broke out here on TV? Watch the lady in the chair.
Okay.
Great moves.
She's dancing, whatever. I'm not mad at it. Oh, what the fuck? They danced her into the wall and then just left her there?
All right, Luke, it doesn't help when you're trying to sit in your wheelchair to watch fireworks or Christmas lighting and you and then Terry gets the gas button pressed down and then suddenly,
I saw a Segway get out of control one time. Yo, this motherfucker's gonna barf everywhere.
Yes. Well, perfect segue
I'll tell
from
you this much,
here.
if she's high and then doing that, I'm good on it. Like let him cook. Let him breathe. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a wait, what? Is this like
go back and play it.
The ending of $1 Million Baby?
Go
Is
back,
this what you're
go back
saying?
and play it. Okay,
Assisted suicide?
Yeah, so here's what I'm saying. If you were here and you're watching her and you know this person is in control and on drugs and just having a good time, let him be.
Let her cook. Okay.
Let her cook.
All right. Well, the perfect segue from that is Knuckle Mania in Philly. Luke, did you see the cannoli fight that broke out during weigh-ins?
I did not see the cannoli fight.
So this gentleman on the right here brought out the cannoli. Connor's like, let me get one of those. Yeah. Yeah, let me get on
You
that.
know his hands have been touching his balls.
Watch the move coming up from the baldy on the right. Oh, yeah.
Slaps the cannoli out
That's
of
what I'm
his hand.
talking about. That is what I'm talking about. Luke, there was another fighter who had a great before and after.
This
His name
was a
is
stupid bit.
His name is Pat. Oh, look at that.
Who won that one?
I don't know, but I can
The
tell you
cannoli
this.
smasher one, he was minus 3,000, and he actually looked like a really good boxer.
So the one who gave the cannoli away was also the one who...
Yes,
Okay.
the asshole.
Luke, I'd like to introduce you to BKFC's Pat Sullivan. Here's him at Friday's weigh-in. Got to be careful on those small scales.
Okay, he looks like he's...
That's how it started.
He's got the tan of every Florida redneck I've ever seen.
Well, here's how it's ended for him when he took on Kane Tomlinson Jr. Here's the ringside view.
Oh, mother.
Oh, my God.
This is the BKFC brand.
That is wonderful stuff, BKFC.
It's just murder.
And it's always set up by something ridiculous at the weigh-in or press conference. It's
Dude, this guy stops moving his feet and then immediately gets blasted with a 1-2.
They got a formula, and it's dial M for murder.
Get guys who are not that great and do it with a rule set that makes them get CTE.
Even though Conor McGregor has 2 fights left on his BKFC deal, he talked to the
UFC
Schmo.
deal.
I'm sorry, his UFC deal, which would stop him from fighting BKFC. Here's him talking to the Schmo about what he might do anyway.
Well, one of these days, you'll just hear my music come onto the stage here in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and now I come with me fist wrapped with no gloves and a fight out of nowhere, no promo, no nothing, just fighting a random fight in a car. That could be where my future holds, and you know, legal, just making claims and all this bollocks. That's for pussies. That's how.
So, Luke, making legal claims when you're under contract is for pussies. He might just show up ready with his knuckles wrapped. At any point, you'll hear his music. No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
All right, kids. We used to call this Roadhead.
They say I'll give you a try.
I miss those days.
Luke, did you ever see that movie that women like called Eat, Pray, Cock?
Eat, Pray, Love.
This is almost embarrassing. We was sitting here and we just realized we've got Eat Cock on our wall. And the word yum right beside of it. So somebody here eat some yummy cock. Come on.
Is that your dad's house?
It kind of looks like it. Yeah, not bad. Speaking of cock, Luke, if you're going to cook it, you better book it. You better know what you're doing.
50 ways to eat
kitchen?
cock. Is this your girlfriend?
Does your
Ex-girlfriend's
kitchen
book?
have that, Luke? Also, we saw the sanctions and tariffs that Trump is putting on the nation of Colombia. Luke, have you seen that?
Yeah, he couldn't spell it right either. Huh?
Well, luckily, there's someone in his family with sense. Let's look in on this. That's Barron saying, "Father, keep the BBLs." Yes, please let them stay.
Yeah, they don't want to deport those ones.
Okay,
Those are
all
the good
right.
ones.
Speaking of Marines and their sexual habits.
Oh God.
Do you agree that Marines have been helping fat chicks get laid since 1775?
Yes.
Negative.
Negative.
Absolutely not.
Fat chicks have been helping Marines get laid since 1775.
Yes, that's fair.
Look at that dip he's got.
Yeah.
too.
Most Marines are fucking tools.
I mean, that's a low reg haircut. I don't think that was a very Marine approved, but he is correct that Marines have been what we in my day, late 90s, early 2000s in the Marine Corps, we called that hogging. When you went hogging.
The thing is, to be very honest, I don't care what Tim Kennedy lied about in the end. I just want to know if he also paid for sex.
Again, I can't say, but my guess is if he's like most people, most Marines I encountered, it would not be a very strong ethical dilemma for him to
All right. Hey, it's time to smoke them if you got them. And I love the "that's right" guy. Luke, you sent me a clip from him and his buddy Jughead over here. Check this out.
Did I?
Go.
Yes, I did.
Mr. T gang shit.
Yeah, that's right.
His name is Squirrelbait on Instagram.
Dude, they're going to kill each other.
At least they went out doing what they love, Luke.
Also, you can kill me like this.
There's no way you can survive that. You would be out. By the way, they filmed this at Long Island Luke's house during the Main Card Minute podcast.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? They made heaven a place on earth.
Well, Luke, when you take out the Morning Joe, how about taking it out in this nice Wake and Bake mug?
That's an amazing.
My girlfriend owns this.
Oh, my God. Did you just hear that?
Do you use it?
No, it's more just like a novelty. I don't even think we have it in the coffee mug thing, but we do own it.
I love the way that man says coffee.
Say it again.
Coffee talk.
Coffee? I don't know. How do you say it in New York?
Do it with your terrible Long Island accent.
I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Coffee. Yeah. New game idea, Luke, that's hit the market. It's called Bong Pong. You into this?
I also told BC that Gaff messaged me this and was like, we need to get this.
So it's beer pong, but instead of drinking, you have to rip the bong.
From the bong. I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
All right.
You had me at bong.
Hey, let's go to the airport. And I think that's the seventh death we've shown in this segment.
I gotta say, that was better than the GFL draft.
Yeah, it was a perfect remake of it. Luke, it's time to play Would You Eat It? That. All I need is a yes or no. Would you eat that? Okay.
All right, let's see.
This is called a glazooki.
I might have a bite.
I mean, it's a hot dog inside of two chocolate chip cookies. Well done.
Now, can I have a couple of those bong hits first?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
All right,
okay, would you eat our next offering?
Guess what I found at the gas station? Buffalo hard-boiled eggs. I am not a hard-boiled egg guy, but curiosity is gonna kill this cat. There's juice in the bottom of the package.
That's so gross.
It's radioactive orange. It looks like an Easter egg. It has a dent in it. It's gonna be horrible, but I have to try it. It's better than a normal hard-boiled egg. I'm gonna soak all my hard-boiled eggs in buffalo from now on. I've never been more surprised at anything in my entire life. I'm becoming a hard-boiled egg.
You once had
sushi
out of a CVS.
I did. It was here in New York City. It was the one below. It's actually, you know what? It was for folks who know the city. It was actually the one below Fox News, that little area across the street. And okay, that is like Baltimore or Pennsylvania white trash with nothing else to do except eat hard-boiled eggs soaked in buffalo juice from the gas station.
So we need a simple answer on would you eat?
Yes, I would.
Okay, our final one. Would you eat a massive wiener?
The competition of the hot dogs.
Oh my God, Luke. That's called the Safredi. Are you ready for the Safredi?
This is the Lex the Impaler. Yeah, I'd have that one.
Yeah, all right. Hey, new combat sport idea. It's called Just One Bite.
First one to take a bite of the sandwich wins.
I mean, I think card jitsu is lame, but
they're already going. Sub proximity meter is up. They're close to it. Now they're very close to it.
Just one bite. That's all it takes.
Just one bite.
It looks like there's meat and lettuce.
I don't think it's going to last.
Oh, is she going to get it? Oh
my. That hurt. Look at this.
Got a yellow card for excessive force there.
All right, we can end this.
Yeah, I mean, all these people should be executed in Saudi Arabia.
Want to see a disgraceful MMA celebration?
Sure.
All right.
Hey, right hand. Is this Octagon? Where is this?
I have no idea.
Dude. Oh, dude. Oh, dude. Oh.
Okay. Now. All right. That's
he did
too
the
far.
old. He did what Izzy did to Paulo
yes,
Costa.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. The old
all
butt
right.
fuck
Don't
celebration.
mess with a security guard, Luke. He might be trained.
Is this Russia or some shit?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, you're about to get it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. You get these. Yeah, this has got to be Russia.
Lord.
Hitting those motherfuckers with like spinning heel kicks and shit.
Whew. Hey, Luke, real recognized real in MMA spaces this week. Here's Yuri and Jamal Hill after their fight at UFC 311 doing celebratory, respectful shots in the bar.
That's nice. Dude, his face looks fucked up.
Yes.
It looks like his eye is broken.
And Yuri would go on Joe Rogan after this.
I know.
Holy crap.
I know.
So I like to see that. By the way, I like how Jamal Hill's been kind of a soft face turning.
I don't think Jamal Hill's a bad guy. I think fighting with the public doesn't do him any good, you know?
Yeah.
But I actually don't think he's a bad dude.
Well, look at this power meeting at PFL Dublin. I'm sorry, not Dublin. PFL Dubai backstage. How about Fedor and Habib, Luke?
Yeah, bro, that's aura right there.
Oh my God, the respect right now. I have a phoner watching this.
That's a long generation, or 2 generations, a long line, I should say, of fucking MMA dominance.
You see that picture with the two of them in Islam? That was a hard picture. They just took it right
By the
there.
way, they had PFL shirts on. I never got an answer for this. If you actually look at that picture, him and Fedor have PFL shirts. Islam is wearing a Bellator shirt.
Yeah, Hughes and Usman had clothes on all week that would have like the Bellator logo. So
Why were they confusing them?
This was the final Bellator title fight, I heard. I don't know. We'll see what happens here.
Whatever.
Hey, a lot of us thought that Merab was ducking Umar before that fight was finally signed. You remember that period of our lives. Ray Longo has a message for people like us.
And for all the guys that said Merab was ducking him, go fuck yourself. And admit that you were fucking wrong and stop. Don't come up with shit and start attacking me. You fucking bunch of morons. Hey, that guy's afraid of somebody. Guy's fighting every day of his life. Who's he afraid of?
I didn't think he was afraid. I just thought he didn't want that fight then.
Yes. But quote the Longo, nevermore, please.
But don't be fucking with Ray Longo.
No.
He was right. Let's you know.
Indeed. Do you remember that post-fight interview with Yuri, by the way, with Megan Oliva, where he said to celebrate?
He was going to have sex with those guys from his village?
Well, he wants to clarify what he was talking about here to the Schmo.
Yeah, I want to clarify the interview after the fight. What we had, and I spoke like, and I said something like, we will celebrate with the guys on the room and all these things. So just to be sure to everyone, man, I'm like you said, straight man.
You like the females.
This is what I want to say, man. I just want to say that 2 my friends came from Czech Republic, from my childhood, what I know from my childhood, and every time we celebrating like very wild, like.
It means by horse, right?
You know, everybody's party is look like something, but we are really. Again, you see, again, it sounds like. It sounds weird. So
just admit it.
No, it doesn't matter for me.
Like, listen,
we had some Marines over.
It's like, listen. When we said it sounded like what we were saying was we were going to have sex with guys. What we really meant was we were going to have a lot of sex with guys.
Did you love the Schmo? He's like, did you mean the ladies? It's like, you know,
By the way,
blessing.
he's wearing the USADA jacket. Did you notice that?
No, but that's hilarious.
He's wearing the fucking USADA jacket, and he should have just been like, we're gonna fuck each other, and we're all guys. That's what he should have said.
All right, hey, it's time for your song of the week, Luke.
Song of the week is literally just Ribs by Lord, because that song is a fucking classic.
Dude, I fucking love that song
it's
so much.
I also wanted them to shut the fuck up.
Luke, you know what I got for Christmas? My stocking, bag balm. You know that it's like a Vaseline type consistency, and it's like an old wives' tale thing that fixes everything. Anything you can have physically problem. apparently borax does the same thing in the insect world.
You know that if you mix borax and honey and put it out where you have an ant infestation, all of the ants will come.
I heard it works, Luke. They all arrive. And okay,
you're horrendous.
I got one more for you, Luke. Let's go to the youth boxing ring.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to imagine that the country that's having toddlers box probably also doesn't have a great degree of safety of their materials.
It's Kane. I mean, somebody's about to rise up through the ring right there. That was great.
That was the Shockmaster breaking through the wall.
There you go.
There.
And that's the shit of the week.
Not bad. That was better than last week.
Oh, okay, good. We're proving on the upward right there. So that's all I got for today, and we'll be back Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Luke, I want to remind the folks, especially those watching on the DraftKings Network, that when we're talking about great partners, we're talking about DraftKings. And the thing about DraftKings is the crown is yours.
That's right. Get that DraftKings Sportsbook app.
I mean, it's time. Use it for the Super Bowl, okay? Use it for Benavidez Morrell this weekend or UFC Riyadh. Okay,
that's right. That's right.
And maybe buy some of that magic spoon, right?
Get that magic spoon. Tookster approved, by the way.
I'm a serial killer. You know what I'm saying? I'll crush all those boxes.
I hope you have a coronary on air.
That's all I've got today. Okay, I got to pee really bad, but you notice the no shit bathroom is still condemned.
Dude, they put hazardous signs on it, and I didn't use it. You cannot blame me.
They did ask me, "Do you have any leads?" And I was like, "Yeah, co-host, baby, that guy." Okay.
Listen, I am so proud of the dumps that I take. I would own it if I thought I broke it, but there is another. It's like Yoda.
You think it was
There
Ken?
is another.
You think it was Ken, and he's just like keeping that under the vest?
Ken is a suspect.
Okay.
Nadir is really.
Oh, wow.
Look at him on his phone, pretending he doesn't hear us right now.
There we go. Well, that's all we got. Long Island Luke, thank you for playing this week. I guess we'll see you back on Friday. We get to see your face on Friday.
Yeah, we'll do a full Saudi preview Friday. Looking forward to it.
Saudi, have a cup of coffee. It'll be great. That's my guy right there. No Sita. He's a great guy. Great guy.
This guy?
Yeah.
He's all right.
Oh, shout out to that Australian couple that were supposed to be here today. They're getting married this week in New York. And
Yeah,
they
I'm
wanted
glad
to
you
meet
invited
us.
people to the studio without even telling me.
Well, you know, I don't have producer credits, but I am one half of this operation.
Yeah, that's right. One half, not the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I figured you would have just ignored them anyway. It's on brand.
Well, the thing is, you love to give stray cats milk, and then you force me to then also give them milk.
Are you asking if you got shivved whether I would step in? Of course I would.
Yeah, you take the other shiv to the other side of my fucking between 6th and 7th rib, you fucking asshole.
That's all the show we got today. Thank you for watching. Help out with our sponsors and like our shit. There you go. And subscribe to what we got going on here. There it is. Whoomp. In fact, there it is. For Luke Thomas, Long Island Luke, I'm your boy BC, and all the guys in the back. Take care of yourselves. We're big fans of you. Thanks for being behind us and reaching around when we need you. That's the MK way. We out. Yeah, that's it.